Greetings and welcome to Office Hours with Dr. G. I'm your host, Dr. G, and I am so glad that you could keep our appointment. Dr. G. Tonight's guest is absolutely no stranger to this platform or to many of you, and I know many of you are sitting on the edge of your chairs waiting to hear what he has to say. I'm talking about
That's me.
Consul General Lamont Maurice L. of EnforceTheConstitution.org. Tonight, he's going to discuss the fact that status is everything and give you a little bit more background on the truth about the gun rage case.
Yeah, that's me.
After spending 10 months in captivity, Consul General Lamont Maurice L. will share some of the profound insights he gained regarding the importance of status and more revelations he learned during and after his time in captivity. Now, I'm not going to delay his coming on any longer. I'm going to bring him forth and he can rock with me for a little bit. I want to present to you all, and I do apologize because the date did say 2022, which was actually the last time he was on the show, and I did correct it to 2023. So some were wondering whether it's going to be a rebroadcast or was he really going to be here alive and living, not in color, but here. So yes, without further ado, let me bring on Consul General Lamont Maurice L. Welcome. Ooh, let me get you back on the show. Let me get you here.
Yeah.
How you doing? Oh, I have you muted. Let me get you there. How you doing?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, let the music play a little bit.
All right.
So how you doing?
I am fine. Assalamu alaikum to everyone. Peace and love. Islam. Salam. And all love. Thank you, Dr. G. Once again.
You know, you had me a little bit worried. I was like, he did not log on at 10 minutes of, and I said, let me just go on. Let me just go on.
I was distracted.
Okay, all right then. We're not going. Okay, no problem. Welcome back. You were on here really briefly a couple of Fridays ago. Brought you on as a surprise to let folks know who've been concerned for many months about your well-being and what was going on with you. And I am grateful that we were able to have this time to talk about some things. I know we're not going to talk about everything because some things we determined after looking and thinking about it that we needed to have probably a unfiltered session, which we will do. But not to disappoint, we want to bring forth those things that you can share on this particular venue that you can actually give us to first of all, hey, how you doing?
I'm cool. What time is it? I thought Taj was gonna be on. Hey.
No.
Oh, shucks.
It's not. He's not on here.
That he was going to come.
I actually didn't send him a link because I didn't know that he was. I was, and he didn't call me and tell me that he was going to be on here. So, yeah. So for those of you who are wondering whether or not this was going to be a replay, since it said November, I think it's in October 24th, 2022, which was about around the time, believe it or not, that you were here.
Yeah.
Last, it was about a year. It was about a year ago. And so we are so happy that you survived the ordeal and whatever it was that you had to glean and to learn and to gain from that time, in the belly, as they say, of the beast. And by all means, if you don't learn nothing, it will be worth nothing. Right.
Yep.
And so we're pretty sure that you have some things that you would like to share. Like we said, you shared some things with me, and given me some clarity on some things. And hopefully tonight you'll also be able to shed some light on some of the things that you learned and have been able to, or are now probably incorporating some of these things. But before we really get started, y'all, we don't have enough folks in the chat. So I need you to not only but I need you to share. And if you haven't subscribed, I'm going to tell you that, you need to subscribe. We should have 100,000 subscribers by now. And we're not quite at 34,000, but I'm not going to fight about that. But I will ask you to share, let somebody know that we're on, and that Consul General Lamont Maurice L is here in the flesh, if you will. It's not a repeat. I had a typo on the date. So you are here. And if they want to, I don't know if you're going to answer any questions or anything, but at least, they will be able to hear from you, and we could discuss. And then, as I said to you all, we will be coming back with an unfiltered, because we determined after discussing it that there were some things that need to be said, if you will, behind closed doors. So we will do that, very shortly. But for tonight, I'm just glad to see you and see you.
Hey, Dr. G, real quick, somebody said, "This is not a clone. I know his movements." That's fine.
Oh, so they think they did a Jamie. I'm sorry. Yeah. A Tyrone. No, let me get it right. They did a Tyrone on you, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Nah, I'm no
they went from throning Tyrone to cloning Tyrone. No, but no. Right. This is he. And
and
so let go ahead. Yeah.
And a year ago, October 11th, 2022, it was the topic was, when I came up to talk to you, it was the people will be tested by their works, and the traitors will be revealed.
And lo and behold,
we got tested.
Actually, lo and behold, the test came.
The following month, the test came. Yeah. Well, just to get started, the test actually came before that, and that was the reason why I put that up there, because what was it? September. So September 2022, and also I'm waiting for George Neil Bay to call so that he can chime in and say hi to everyone, and then give his testimonial as to what happened. So he should be calling in around 8:30. And I see you got. I missed your call. I apologize about that.
Because I was trying to figure out where you were.
my phone was on silent. I apologize. I put it on silent because I was coming on here, so that's why.
Absolutely, I get it.
So September 2021. That was let me say, prior to September 2021, we was going to someone's domicile, someone's property out at Charles County, Maryland. They had a gun range on the property, and the people that were orchestrating it were promoting for the people, they will say Black people or African Americans. Of course, we know that's a coin term, but they were promoting for our people to get acquainted with firearms for self-defense purposes, because of the women that are being kidnapped that they don't really talk about that much, the children that are being kidnapped that they don't talk about that much, and all of the different things that will cause one to exercise his right to defend himself, whether it be with your hands or some type of defense weapon, whatever, right? So they were promoting people to learn gun safety and training on firearms, right? Especially since the younger generations are, keen to getting guns now. They should at least know safety. You know what I'm saying? And how to shoot, how to load, how to clean, etc. So that's what they were doing, and it was beautiful. It was it got to the point, it started, I believe, in 2021. That's when they did the annual I'm not gonna put their information out there like that, but for those that know. But they did an annual, it's called a community day, right? And last year, well, not last year, the year before last, 2021, it was a real big outcome. It was all our people, you know what I mean? With firearms, no police. And no one was trying to kill each other. No one was trying to rob nobody, none of that. You know what I mean? It was people from all different walks of life, people with 9-to-5 jobs, all the way to people that was brought on a van, children brought on a van from Woodland in Southeast DC. Anybody know about Woodland? You know that's projects. So we were promoting. Well, they were promoting to, to get the people that have guns illegally, no matter you got it legally or illegally, to learn about firearm safety and to learn how to shoot, not to promote violence. No. And it got big. It was, beautiful. Moon bounce, live entertainment, food, etc. And they were looking to do that again this year. Only problem is it was about to be over 1,000 people from all over everywhere, really, because they got popular on social media. The people that were promoting it, they got really popular over social media. So they sold a whole lot of tickets. And that made the people that run Charles County, Maryland, very afraid, intimidated. They said that that would have been a gathering of Black people more than they did with the Black Panther Party, because it was about to be over 1,000, right? So Charles County commissioners September, I want to say the 8th or the 7th or something like that, they got a phone call. The owner of the property and the person that was running the event got a phone call or something like that. They got message from an attorney for Charles County that they were going to issue an emergency injunction for them to cancel the event that was set to take place on, I believe, September 11th, 2022. And since I was already going up there, to the range to practice and, fellowship, etc. And I was a supporter too. I bought one of the targets there. I asked them, if they wanted to take an alternative route, and that would be challenging the jurisdiction. If they do decide to issue an emergency injunction, this is what you can do. You have a choice. You don't have to shut down the range or stop the event. The status is different. You have to correct your status. So September 8th, the day before the alleged hearing, because they told them over the phone that it was a hearing. And I said, that's not even proper service of process. Even though they're in court, Charles County Circuit Court is not a court. They still at least have to give you proper service of process. Phone call from an attorney is not proper service of process. So you weren't served to come to the hearing. You don't have to go. But of course, they threatened them and all of that. So we had a meeting September 8th at the gun range at night. And I discussed with them, what they had to do in order to be in right standing to challenge jurisdiction. I said, now I know you all promote gun licenses, gun permits, right? Carry permits and all of that, right? I said that the reason why they can do what they're doing to you and it try to intimidate you to stop and all of that is because of those contracts that you have with them. You have to rescind those contracts. Otherwise, they have permission to cheat your rights or to basically violate your rights. You know what I mean? Which includes the right to keep and bear arms, which the Second Amendment protects. It doesn't grant. And I would say they somewhat understood that, but, you know, they said that they had a lot of licenses that's tied with their business and other endeavors that, you know, get them to live a healthy lifestyle, you know, or a sustainable lifestyle. So they don't want to mess that up. However, the owner of the property said, nah, I want to keep this going. I want to keep this going. This is beautiful. Our people are coming out here. They're fellowshipping. They're safe in a safe environment. Children are out here. Everybody's learning gun safety and a number of other things. I think they had archery out there with the bow and arrows. They had boxing. You know, it was all about basically getting our people together to learn from one another, trust one another, and, you know, be on safety and defense in an event that a national emergency was to happen, because a national emergency is happening already. And it's been happening against our people, though, you know, this genocide that's going on. But the owner said he wanted to keep it going. So the owner nationalized. Now, and when I say nationalized, I don't mean just declared his nationality and corrected his name, etc. He was taking the steps of challenging the mortgage, because I showed him how to challenge the mortgage. You know, we did the paperwork. And then they issued no, they didn't issue the injunction yet. They did the hearing. And we weren't able to, this was September 9th that I'm talking about now. September 9th was the hearing. He didn't go. Instead, we met up to Charles County Circuit Court venue to have the documents recorded in the record, right, showing his jurisdictional challenge. And then Morocco Consular Court can get involved once he demonstrates his standing in regards to the straw man that they're bringing this injunction against. So that was September 9th. I believe September 9th was on a Friday. So we tried to get the paperwork recorded, and they closed the doors at like, what was it, 4, like 3 minutes before the venue was closed, they locked the doors on us. So it made us think, damn, y'all knew we was coming. So we had to wait till the following week. Nevertheless, that Saturday they had an event where nobody was shooting. And, you know, the Charles County came out. A lot of people came out. You know, it was nighttime. I think there was a live band. And Charles County ended up, well, let me say it right, representatives of Charles County Sheriff Department, which are really the police department. They call themselves the Sheriff Department. But they came out. I think it was 2. And they were walking around, you know, some of the people came and got me, but they were walking around, you know, questioning, you know, where's this individual, you know, y'all planning on shooting this, that, and third. They was pretty much taunting the other individual that was hosting the event. And when they came and got me, I went to pull up the 2 agents from Charles County Sheriff Department, and I was like, who gave you permission to come? You know, and they were like, are you the owner? I said, no, I'm not the owner. I'm the Consul General. I'm exercising consular jurisdiction over this jurisdiction, this area. And I was like, you can tell your colleagues, ask your colleagues or your superior who I am, because I'm sure they know who I am. And it was like, we need to talk to the owner, so on and so forth. Owner came, and he was pretty much saying, you got to talk to me. You know what I mean? Long story short, they end up leaving. And the event continued. That was Saturday. Sunday, which was September the 11th, that was the day of the event that they wanted to cancel. And they end up canceling the event. because they didn't want Charles County Sheriff Department, harassing, and most importantly, a part of the injunction, the verbal injunction, because they didn't issue the injunction September 9th. The verbal injunction was, if this individual is found on the property while other people are shooting, or if this individual was caught shooting, etc., then not only will they be fined, but they will also have to do, I believe they said verbally, 180 days in jail. So, and that applied to the individual and the individual's consort. And he told me that. So I was like, okay, so that was a threat. However, I said, what's the nature of the case? Looked into it. It was civil. It was dealing with zoning. Everybody that has houses that got mortgages, about zoning, right? And they said that according to, well, let's do this. I forgot how to do the screen share. How do I do that screen share?
Let me put
it says present. Do I present? Do I click that?
Yeah.
All right. Let me pull that up first. All right. Let me share screen. All right. All right. Can y'all see the screen? You see the screen, Dr. Dre?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to gun range case. Now here, I somewhat set it up to where you can see the timeline of events. And I'm going all the way down to the bottom. You can still see it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this right here is October 5th. No, not that one. This one. Is this it? September 13th. They canceled the event on September 12th. The person that was hosting the event canceled it. Then Tuesday, they issued this de facto injunction order that they tried to say that it applied on the 9th, but they issued it on September 12th. And as you can see right here, it says, upon consideration of the emergency petition for temporary injunctive and other appropriate relief filed herein by the petitioner, Charles County Commissioner of Charles County, Maryland, the county, and arguments made by counsel for the county and respondents, blank and others, at a hearing held on open court on September 9th, 2022, as to the granting of a preliminary injunction. The court hereby finds the following. So everybody, y'all can go to the website, scroll down until you see this injunction, or de facto injunction. It's misrepresented instrument. Bill of attainder. It's really a bill of attainder. And you can read the little BS that they put together, right? Because the de facto injunction was allegedly supposed to be September 9th. But as you can see, it's dated September 13th. What we did to counter that was, where is it at? Hold on. We did a writ of error, because now, when was the file? September 16th. So they closed the case on September 13th. After they issued the injunction, they closed that case. We went up there and recorded it September 16th, this writ of error issued from Morocco Consular Court, along with the affidavit of dispute showing that he disputed the de facto mortgage and made claim to his estate via the affidavit of fact, adverse claim of title, and the memorandum of trust, showing his standing in regards to the property or his estate and how he inherited it, and it is held, any mortgages, etc., held null and void due to fraud. There was no rebuttal to this writ of error. Not only that, but it was issued from Consular Court and recorded in Charles County Circuit Court under consular jurisdiction. Issued September 9th, We wasn't able to get it up there in time, so we got it in there September 3rd. What does it say? September 16th. So if you know the Constitution, you know under Article 4, Section 1, the full faith and credit clause states, full faith and credit shall be given in each state to the public acts, records, and judicial proceedings of every other state. This is a public record. It would have been, if that was a proper venue, a public judicial proceeding in their judicial proceedings. Nevertheless, it was a public judicial proceedings in our records, right? They just hold a public record. Well, they hold a record that the public can use and review. So full faith and credit shall be given to the writ of error that was entered into their records. And now it can be enforced. So as of September 16th, well, really as of September 9th, consular jurisdiction was exercised on the property. So let me go back to the regular screen. How do I get back? All right, here I go. So now, that week of September 16th, well, really is the week of September 12th. That was Monday, September 12th. That week, we were going to the range, and we were basically getting help with, you know, the landscape of the range, because they had the people that were there before, they had moved all of their property off the range. So like the structures and all of that was moved, the targets were moved and all of that, right? Mm-hmm. So we started to, that following week, we started putting a new what do you call it, targets down. We were paving the way, chopping. We had people chop trees down and, you know, make the range a little, you know, more professional, and to raise the, what is that thing called? Basically to raise that part where you're shooting at the targets so that the bullets won't go extend to somebody else's property. It'll hit the back. I think it's called the backdrop or something like that. I can't remember right now. But anyway, that following week, near the end of the week, Charles County Sheriff Department came because we were still shooting during the week. Even though the injunction was issued, we issued the writ of error. So we're exercising or enforcing the writ of error by continuing to, you know, practice firearm safety and, you know, training and all of that on the range. But it wasn't the people that were coming with the other group. Now it's people that were with us and who we were promoting to, but we wasn't inviting everybody. It was literally, you had to come based off of invitation. It could be invitation from email, text message, or word of mouth. If you came up there, then we would stop you at the front gate or at the front of the driveway, and we would ask who invited you. Same thing I did when I was doing Zoom classes. You had to announce who invited you to the Zoom class because we didn't want any saboteurs up there. And Charles County Sheriff Department eventually came, and by that time we had the flag, you know, mounted in the front yard. So just like if you was to run up on Chinese embassy that's at DC, you see the flag out front. Soon as you walk on that jurisdiction, you're under the jurisdiction of China. Same principles applied, right? So we stopped the sheriffs. Well, we stopped the agents at the sheriff department from the sheriff department at the beginning of the driveway. It was George and I that time. It was just George and I. George had an AR-15 around his chest, wrapped around. I had an AR-15 wrapped around my chest. George had a firearm on his hip. I had a firearm on my hip, open, right? I stood in front of, in the middle of the driveway in the beginning when Charles County pulled up. They stopped. It was another car that came behind them. It was two squad cars. They both stopped. The man in the initial car, the front car, the first one, jumped out and put both his hands up and said, "Hey, you're the guy that I need to talk to. You're just the person I need to speak with." And I said, "What's the issue?" And he started to walk up, and the woman started to walk up, and you can tell that they wasn't there to start any trouble, because body language, you can tell by the body language. They were like, yeah, man, listen, man, we're only here because the neighbor behind this property keeps complaining about bullets being shot, over into their yard, hitting their trees or whatever, right? And then he also said that the neighbor complained about one of his cows being struck. I said, one of his cows got struck by a bullet? He said, yeah, straight bullet. I said, did he show you the cow that was struck? He said, no. I said, okay, did he show you the trees that were being hit? He said, no. And I was like, all right. And he said, also, the neighbor claimed that there was an injunction for there to be no shooting on the property. And we checked the records. There are no injunctions. Right. Because of the writ of error. So anyway, we talked. He pulled out something that showed a map, and it showed where the property line ended for the property we were at, and the property line as far as the neighbors. And we were, I was like, was basically discussing that. I don't want to get too much into that. But they peaceably left. They was like, listen, man, if you could just talk to the neighbors and, work something out, because we're not trying to stop what you all got going on, then, that'll be cool. So I was like, okay, cool. We'll talk to the neighbors. Thank you very much. They left. Peaceful, right? Also, I meant to mention this, September 10th, I believe I think it was September 10th or 9th, they put a camera across, like if this was the driveway to the range going this way, and this is the street, across the street was a light pole, and they put a camera up there. They put a camera, the little ball camera, and a box over the ball. And it was facing the gun range so that they can see everybody that comes in and goes out, right? That was September 9th or 10th. So they wanted to confirm if the people were still going to be shooting, and they told them not to shoot. Now they're looking at us. Now they're looking at us on the camera. So when they left, everything was cool. We were still, I didn't get to talk to the neighbor yet because it was a lot going on at that time. But Charles County came back a few days later, maybe the following week later. They came back. Same thing. The neighbors was complaining. Same thing. We're not trying to shut you all down. The third or the fourth time is when we were able to record. And at that time, Quinn Kabir L was there at the range with us. He was the one that was recording that the footage that's on YouTube right now of me talking to the Charles County Sheriff, the two agents. And there's always new agents that came. So this was the third or fourth set of agents from Charles County Sheriff Department that came to the range to talk to us about the neighbors. The difference between them and everyone else is they asked more questions as far as like, why do you think this is Morocco? And, all of that. Y'all, it's all on YouTube. Y'all seen it on YouTube. Y'all saw it. Not, it's on enforcetheconstitution.org. Enforce the Constitution YouTube channel. It's on there. The video's on there. So that was pretty much the energy every time Charles County Sheriff Department came. So at that point, we were under the impression that, okay, Charles County know who we are. They know what we're doing. And what I've explained to people as far as the gun license, the gun permit, etc., is their way of getting your permission to not recognize your rights or to escheat your rights. So in other words, to violate your rights. They need your permission. And the permission comes through the gun permit or the gun license. License means permit. And that's what subjects you to those policies that are not laws. It only becomes law for you when you consent to them through the license. Otherwise, it doesn't apply to you, right? So they can't confiscate anything unless they're going to steal it outright. So that's how you get regulated. Because we were not promoting that. We weren't promoting gun licenses, gun permits, none of that. And we were teaching civics at the gun range on why you don't need a gun license. Basically the same thing that they were promoting, gun safety, etc. And we wasn't trying to like, and they weren't neither. The people before us weren't neither trying to start a revolution to fight the de facto government with guns. They know we weren't doing that. So because of that, oh, here goes George right here. Because of that, you know, we weren't on their radar. Only reason why they called, came was because, like I said, the neighbors kept calling. They said we would not come if the neighbor wouldn't call. So, well, I'm gonna let George say a few words. I ain't gonna forget where I'm at. Hold on. Can you hear?
Yes, a little bit. Yeah.
All right. Islam, George.
What?
All is low. He sounds low?
Yes.
All right, I'm on Dr. G, bro. Can you speak up a little bit?
I'm talking into the microphone. I'm not sure how to
we can hear you now.
Yeah, that's better. That's better. So everybody can hear you, bro.
Okay.
I told him, you know, that you was coming on.
Islam, brother George.
Hello, everyone. Islam.
Islam. We're glad to hear your voice.
Thank you.
Yeah, so
Hope everybody's doing good.
You heard him?
Yes,
Yeah, they heard you.
Make sure you're doing good.
Yeah, everybody want to make sure you doing good, bro. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
So, George, I'm at the part where I just finished saying how Charles County Sheriff agents came to the range about 3 or 4 times, and it was because of the neighbors complaining, and you know, that was pretty much it. They weren't trying to shut us down or anything. I'm at that part right now. Going to what's that? November 13th. I'm about to talk about that now. Did you have anything you wanted to add, bro?
Okay.
Before I go?
You did mention how they admitted they can't tell us what to do. They don't have jurisdiction to settle.
Yeah, they said that they weren't. I mentioned that they were not trying to shut us down. They said they wasn't trying to shut us down. They said there was no injunction. And yes, they said they're not trying to shut us down. They don't have the authority to shut us down. They were just pretty much there for the neighbors. Yeah, I mentioned that.
Right. You just asked us to go around the corner and be neighborly and everything.
Right, to be neighborly. Yeah. So it was a eye awakening experience for George, because George, you know, he is from the corporate area known as Baltimore City. And he's not used to walking up to police with a gun on his hip and a badge. So, you know, after those few encounters, George was like, wow, bro, they really recognizing us. You know what I'm saying? So, which was cool, you know. But then that day came, before September 13th came, before November 13th came, there was a time where the people at Charles County, a state's attorney, or maybe the attorneys for the commissioners, was calling the owner, and Charles County Sheriff was calling the owner, saying that, you know, if they set another court date, then is he going to come? You know, calling him by the straw. And he would answer the phone and would respond as if he's the straw. And I'm like, bro, listen, you put in affidavit saying that you're such and such bay. If they're addressing the straw, you don't respond as if you're the straw. He said, okay, I understand that, but they saying that I got to do X, Y, Z. No, they're not saying you have to do anything. They're talking to the fiction. You gave them an affidavit saying who you are, meaning you're not the fiction. If you respond as if you're the fiction, then your status has not been corrected. It's only been corrected on paper. And that's the misconception and the misunderstanding that a lot of people have. You must appear in court, John Smith, and you're John Smith Bay. So if you're John Smith Bay, then why are they telling John Smith to come to court and you saying that they're telling you to come to court? Right? So they can tell by your response, your status has not been corrected. Status is not just expressed on a card, national ID card, or on paper. It's also expressed by you. It actually starts with you, because status is state. You go to the definition of status in the law dictionary. It'll say standing, state, condition, social position, right? What are they doing in their King Alpha Plan Rex 84 silent weapons? That is for social engineering. What are they engineering? Your social, how you respond. They taught and conditioned and trained you to respond a certain way. So no matter what you put in writing, if your actions and your verbal words is different than what you put in writing, they're going to go off of you and not your writing. You see what I'm saying?
And I see that. Yeah. And a lot of times, you know, that's how people get tripped up.
That's exactly how people get tripped up.
Or they do paperwork that somebody else did for them and they don't know the paperwork, so they can't stand on it. They can't defend it.
Yes. Yes. And that's also why, side note, on the YouTube channel, I uploaded, because I saw this when I was in jail, I uploaded that de facto judge that was on Zoom talking to the sister that challenged the jurisdiction. The de facto judge said, if you believe, she said, if I believe that the court didn't have jurisdiction, then I would not get out of my bed. I would not care. She said something like, she just went down the list. Basically, I would not come. Don't come. Don't come. If you believe the court don't have jurisdiction and we're not talking to you, you're not this person, then don't come. Why'd you come? She said, so I'm going to say it one more time. Would you state your name for the record? If you don't want to participate, then she said, I'm going to move on to the next case. She didn't say I'm going to issue a bench warrant. She didn't say none of that. She said, I'm going to move on to the next case. So the sister, yeah, it's this video right here, just so that everybody can see and study it. I was not putting this, just to let everyone know, I wasn't putting that video up to basically poke at the mother or to make fun of, or none of that. No, it's no different than the Dred Scott case. That case was to be studied. Yeah, Dred Scott got the bad end of the stick, but it's to be studied. This case is also to be studied. Not the case, but just what was said. Let me see. I'm gonna go to YouTube. So this video right here. Well, let me pull it up. This video. I'm gonna play it. But this is the video. De facto judge tells Moorish woman, quote, if the person or entity does not have jurisdiction, don't come. Right? This video. It's on the YouTube channel.
I'm not sure we can see it, but
you can't see it right now?
I mean, I see it, but I don't know what other people see, but it's small. It's too small to.
You can't see it at all?
Yeah.
Hold on. Okay. Study materials for more. So I did it wrong? Hold on. All right, let me try one more time. Well, look, just to save time.
Yeah, there was a list, but we couldn't see what it said.
Okay. So what you'll do is go to the YouTube channel, Enforce the Constitution, and then you'll look for the video called hold on. It's called De Facto Judge Tells Moorish Woman If the Person or Entity Does Not Have Jurisdiction, Don't Come. That's the video. And it's a feedback. It's feedback. Is that your end?
I don't hear
it's like I can hear myself talking, saying what I just said.
Oh, you got an echo.
Yeah, it's an echo. All right. Well, anyway, so that's why I put that up there.
So George still on? Is George still on?
Yeah, George's still here. George's still here. He could. Hey, George, you could call right back too, right? No. I'm not. No, George, I ain't telling you to call back. I'm saying, can you, like, when the time runs out, you can call right back, right?
Yeah, don't talk like that.
Okay.
Because I mean, I'm sure folks are maybe we're not dealing with that in this particular segment, but folks are probably wondering if both of you were taken captive at the same time while you're out
Yeah.
and he's not. Because
I'm gonna get to that because that all of that's imperative. That's why I'm gonna chop up just for everyone. I'm going to chop up to only speak on what matters and what can be learned from this situation. Everything else will be on what's it called, Dr. G?
Unfiltered.
Unfiltered.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about most of I'm gonna go into detail because that needs to be said too. I'm just not going to share certain things on this public platform. I'm going to talk about what's necessary, including why George is in and why I'm out.
Right.
Talk about everything that's necessary. But as far as the detail that most people also need, sincere people need to know, we talk about on the unfiltered.
Right. Because, people, they start to give a little chatter and they think, if he's out, did he do, you know what I'm not saying. So anyway.
Can you hear echo?
No, I don't know. I don't know if the people hear an echo. I don't hear an echo. So if it could be if you look under
okay,
settings,
somebody said we don't hear that echo.
No, it's just you. If you go under settings and go under audio, there might you there's a button that says echo cancellation.
It's checked off.
Okay, so how about reduce mic background noise? You got that clipped?
I just clicked it. I still hear the echo. Why am I hearing the echo? It wasn't doing this at first.
Oh no, because they probably messing with you. You take the cancellation off for a minute and just see if it still, because I don't hear it. Now I do.
Put the cancellation. I just took it off.
Put it back on.
Yeah. I still hear it.
Well,
I can hear it when I took it off, and I can hear it when it's back on.
Well, when you took it off, we all heard it. I heard it, but now it's only you. So but
that
just
sucks.
Keep talking like without the delay.
I'm gonna try to mentally block the echo. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So and then George can hear it too. I know George can hear it. So because the owner kept falling for the trick, as far as them calling, you better come to court. Are you gonna come to court? We want to send you a fine. You right to the straw. But speaking to him, and they were hearing how he responds, and I'm telling him, listen, you're responding incompetently. Because of that, they reopened the Coles case and then issued the what's it called? Show cause order. That show cause order right here. Where is it at? Let me know if you can see the web page again. Can you see it? Dr. G, can you see?
Yes.
You can see? Okay. That's when they issued this. That was October 7th. This is the de facto show cause order. And as you can see, we put everything that they're sending and on the website to post it as evidence of overt acts of treason. This is in the circuit court for Charles County, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the person that issued this de facto injunction is this lady, Karen H. Abrams, who is a former acting administrative clerk pretending to be a judge for Circuit Court for St. Mary's County. That's a whole other venue. She issued a bill of attainder in the form of an order, a show cause order, in Charles County Circuit Court. But she's a retired de facto judge from St. Mary's County Circuit Court, a whole nother jurisdiction. Don't know how that happened, but I'm like, look, like it's not even Charles County representatives issuing this. It's somebody from another jurisdiction issuing it in this jurisdiction. So anybody that wants to fact check, you can Google Karen H. Abrams. Put in Judge Karen H. Am I saying it right?
Abrams, probably Abrams.
Abrams. Put that in Google. You'll see who pops up. It's a Caucasian lady, and she is a former de facto judge from St. Mary's County Circuit Court, not Charles County. Anyway, they issued this, and we countered with this cease and desist. And as you can see the timeline right here, this is October 7th, 2022. This is, wait a minute, where is it at? The cease and desist was September 18th. No, wait. Excuse me. No. What did we serve? Hey, George, what did we counter with? I'm trying to get my facts straight. What did we counter with? You still there, George? Yeah. Oh, yeah, you said you still hear the echo? No, we issued, that's what it was. We issued another writ of error, but that writ of error wasn't issued until we got kidnapped. Right, George?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Damn, this echo is really throwing us off.
We served the lawful cease and desist investigation, correct?
You said turn the mic down?
Or do you have a headset?
But then George won't be able to talk.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, I turned the mic down.
Not sure what's going on because it didn't start out with that. So
no, it didn't start off with it.
Not sure exactly what happened. And see, we don't hear it, but I know it. I know how it sounds. It is very distracting.
Yeah, it's distracting George too, because
I'm on the phone.
Yeah. Damn. Is it all? No, it's still doing it. Dang. Anyway, I'm not trying to burn up too much time. I want to get this information out there. Anyway, so the response to the show cause order was issued in November. However, I questioned issuing it because I know that under Article 21 of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship of 1836, Consul cannot give any assistance to what they call delinquents. And a person, I'll go off and get back on. It's horrible. You can hear it? But you can hear it on here, right? Yeah, this is, hey, Dr. G. All right, look. Because this is bad. It's really bad. The echo is really bad.
You know what? Yeah, none of us hear it. None. They're writing in the chat that they don't hear it. I don't hear it. Somebody's saying the reason you hear an echo on your end, CG, is because of the other device that has the same proximity. So did it start when you picked up the phone? Is that when it started?
Possibly. Hold on.
Yeah, because I know when I sometimes log in on my phone and it makes a funny sound on here too. So it could be because you have George on the call.
Hey George.
Yeah.
Hey, do me a favor. Hang up and call right back. I want to see if it's because you're on. All right.
Okay, so now let's talk. Can you hear? You hear it?
Yeah.
Oh, you still hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it probably has something to do with your phone. If it's not your phone, it's something else close by. Is anybody else listening to something close by?
Nah.
Okay, I'm not sure. And when you took the echo off, though, we all heard the echo then.
So let me do this. I'm gonna try to log out and then log right back in.
Okay.
All right. Be real quick.
Don't go anywhere, everybody. Let's see what he's gonna pop out and pop back in, and we're gonna see exactly what's going. In the meantime, let me just throw up something. Oh, just to let y'all know, this Friday, October 27th, for those of you planning to come, this is our very last in-person, live, whatever you want to call it, civics class at House of Reawakening Minds, where you can actually come to the House of Reawakening Minds, and Grand Sheik and I will be there teaching and discussing.
Hello?
Let me see. You're back. Okay, you're back. Let me see. So that's this coming Friday. This is the last one for 2023.
From Maryland Correctional Facility. This call will be recorded and monitored. If you wish to block, thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Do you hear the echo?
No, it's gone.
Great.
Right.
But,
you there, George?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool.
You okay?
Yep. Can you hear him, Dr. G?
I hear him.
All right, no more echo.
Okay.
I don't hear no more echo. Good.
Great. Thank you.
So I shut the range down, and then we reopened it. But then there were rumors going on about FBI and ATF looking for me. And I'm like, what? Somebody at the range disclosed this to me. And I'm like, okay, well, and they were saying that, they made up a website calling me a sovereign citizen, domestic terrorist. This was allegations, right? And I'm like, okay, well, how are they looking for me if I'm not hiding? I'm right here. We at the range. They have a camera right out front of the range. They were like, well, look, man, somebody from Charles County Sheriff Department told me this. Like, okay. So they backed off. They were helping. They backed off, and their people backed off. So I shut the range down again to see what exactly was going on. And I'm at the time I was staying direct. I'm not going to say exactly where, but directly across the street from the United States Attorney's Office and the United States District Court. I'm not going to say the state because people will know. It's directly across the street. I was staying directly across the street from the United States District Court and the United States Attorney's Office. The building that I was in, they trained one of the workers told me that they trained FBI agents and U.S. assistant attorneys in that building. They trained them there. I done went to the fitness center in the building. I done seen crew cut men and women of European descent or Caucasian descent working out, looked like they were like U.S. Marshal or something in the military or whatever. And I was also told that I'll give people a hint if Homeland Security, they when they come into town to go to Homeland Security, a lot of them stay at this building that I was at. I didn't know prior to me going to that building, but I told Taj about it. He said, stay there. What you gonna move for? And I was there ever since 2021, February 2021, when that was the year when we went up and did a demonstration at Charles County Circuit Court to get the brother, Charles County District Court to get the brother out of jail. We traveled from where we were to Charles County District Court. All of the automobiles had the Morse tags on them with the flag flown on the front. Nobody pulled us over. We only filmed when we arrived at the parking lot to go into the venue. Y'all saw the rest on the website and on YouTube. Case was dismissed. We got proof that the case was dismissed on the website under habeas corpus cases. People try to say that it was a time served or he took a plea. No, it was dismissed. The cases were dismissed. It's on the website, and he was released by our order from Morocco Consular Court. Anyway, and that's the same area where we traveled all the way to Massachusetts from the area that I'm staying at in front of the U.S. attorneys, U.S. District Court, U.S. Marshals, everybody. They see it, right? None of them are getting in our way. So that's why I'm like, how the hell are they looking for me if I'm right in front of them? So I canceled the range another time. I think it was sometime in October. I stopped the range for a week, maybe 2 weeks, to see exactly who was supposed to have been coming for me. While this was going on, one of the brothers in the consulate, he got in a car accident, and not PG County police, but Glenarden police came to the car accident where he was, and then basically questioned him. He hit me up and hit another brother up in the middle of the night. And, I'm on the phone. Well, I was on the walkie-talkie at the time talking to him. He was on the phone with another brother. And I was telling him what to say as far as to the police or whatever. And Glenarden police, that's a small city within Prince George's County jurisdiction. And they weren't trying to hear any of that. They basically ended up bum rushing the brother, picking him up, slamming him on his head, and did all of that nonsense, right? So now he's kidnapped. So I drafted the habeas corpus for him to, get released, but I didn't want to go to the venue because I wanted to stay still to see who was after me. Because I'm here in front of the feds. I'm in front of the feds. So let me sit still. Let me stop the range and let me focus on what's going on with me. Meanwhile, I had everybody in the consulate go to Prince George's County District Court to record the writ of habeas corpus release order for the brother. And so that we can, basically take it to the sheriff department and have him released. While that was going on, well, I'm going to save that for unfiltered. I'm going to save this part for unfiltered. Meanwhile, nobody came for me. I talked to the supervisor of the building, and she started telling me, yeah, ATF and FBI and somebody, I think it was a detective from Charles County, came here saying that they were looking for you. I'm like, they looking for me? Who? She was like, yeah, that the police, they're Alexander. Oh, damn. The local police. I almost gave up. The local police and FBI in Charles County, they came to this building and they said that you was a terrorist and they scared the general manager half to death. She think that you gonna come and shoot up her and her children. I'm like, are you serious? Because mind you, they seen me in my whole uniform with the badge, the vest, the firearm on my hip. They also seen me have a lot of the of suitcases. You could tell what a rifle suitcase looked like. You know what I mean? And different cases and all of that on the dolly. So they see me doing it every week. But I'm cool with everybody in the building. All of the workers, that is. Nevertheless, they're like, yeah, the police are trying to make you out to be some, terrorist, person, and they're trying to make you to be scary. But we know you. We know what you're about. The general manager, though, she was new, and she was really scary. She was scary, and the police scared her up. So I was told that they were checking the cameras, checking the entrances and exits of the building and all of that, sitting outside, looking, getting a location of where I am in the building. I'm like, what? But if they're looking for me, I'm right here. How come they not, pursuing me? You know what I mean? Last time I checked,
you telling me when that was going on.
I called you. Yeah.
Yes.
So that was going on. So nothing happened. As far as the brother that was kidnapped, trying to see what I can say. The following week, he was compelled to get an attorney. So I can't help because he got an attorney submitted to the jurisdiction, which was the whole goal. I eventually found out that he had a lawsuit filed in Prince George's County District Court or Circuit Court. And in order to file a lawsuit, he said it was a tort. In order to file that, you got to submit to their jurisdiction. You literally, and this was back in 2019. This was before he met me. And when I asked him about it, he said, yeah, that was because the police had, violated his rights and did the tickets and all of that. In turn, he did a tort, or what he called a tort, but it was filed under the jurisdiction of Prince George's County District Court, or I believe it was Prince George's County District Court. And I let him know, I was like, yeah, bro, you can't challenge the jurisdiction if you submit it to the jurisdiction and the case is open. And he was like, well, nah, what does that have to do? I'm like, bro, I've been saying it the whole time, and I'm still saying it. You cannot open a law, what you think is a lawsuit in their venue, what you think is a court, and try to pursue them or sue them. Sue means pursue under their jurisdiction, and then turn around and challenge their jurisdiction. You can't do that, right? All they need is a record of you consenting to the jurisdiction. They got that, and we'll get into that in a few minutes. If they got that, they got you. That's all they looking for. That was pretty much all they was looking for with me. They know I ain't no terrorist trying to plot against the de facto government as far as like with firearms. No, they know how I'm coming at them. So we end up reopening the range. Now it's George and I, along with maybe two or three other people that's not nationalized, that's helping us with the range. And there was a brother that came to the range that I invited, him and his people, and he came up there and he explained to me that he was traveling with dead tags. And I was like, bro, you can't exercise a right to travel if you have state tags on your vessel, because under Article 18 of our treaty, it says no contraband shall be found on board. Contraband is anything that's issued from the de facto state, which includes the license plates. So you can't attach a license plate, even though it's dead, to your vessel and expect to exercise a birthright. And you come into a gun range at that. So that's an automatic no-no. You can't travel like that. So the brother acted like he understood. I was like, yeah, try not to travel like that up here no more. Either correct that or unregister the car. And I got tags that you can put on. However, you have to study and show yourself approved. In other words, you got to be vetted. And he was also like, yeah, man, I'm trying to get a badge. I'm trying to get a uniform. You got to be vetted, bro. So I got you though, because I invited him and his friends. Now, November 13th comes about. Am I missing anything, George, before I talk about November 13th?
No, you're not missing anything.
Okay. November 13th comes. I learned a few days ago that they were following this same brother from his house, from his domicile. They followed him because it was each and every Sunday for the gun range. They followed him all the way from his domicile to Fred's Outdoor. It's a store called Fred's that sells. It's called Fred's Outdoor something that sells bullets and firearms. He stopped there to get some ammo. Then they followed him from there to the range, and they already had an agent sitting on the side of the road waiting for him to come on old Port Tobacco Road, something like that, which is where the incident happened. He gets pulled over. He calls my phone. He blows my phone up. I'm, bringing out the luggage and putting it together and, setting up everything before we open the range. So it's me, George, and 2 or 3 other people. And eventually I ended up answering the phone because he was calling me so much. He was like, yeah, bro, I'm being pulled over right now. And I said, what are you being pulled over for? What's going on? He said, I don't know, but now they at the window and they telling me to get out the car. So then I hear him in the background, get out the car, all that, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, how are you traveling? He said, I got the dead tags on the car. I also he said he also got some other stuff, but he was with his girlfriend, son, I believe nephew, some other people. And I'm like, bro, didn't I tell you not to travel like that? So now we're going back and forth over the phone. And he like, look, can you come down here? I said, no, I can't. Not only that, you're not under consular jurisdiction. You know, he was like, well, I was trying to get the ID. I was like, well, do you have the ID? You don't even have an ID. He was like, no, I was waiting for you to issue it. And we got in the back and forth with that. And I'm like, look, whether you got the ID or not, you have tags on your car that belong to them that are dead. So, and I didn't know that he was being followed. I said, so that plus you're not a part of our protocol. You don't know our protocol when it comes to consular jurisdiction. I set up a protocol and I contacted the general counsel for Charles County Sheriff Department. Ever since we did the demonstration for the brother Javar in 2021, I've been in communication with the general counsel for Charles County Sheriff Department and PG County Sheriff Department. And we were talking about consular jurisdiction and so on and so forth. And I was also explaining to him that everybody that identifies themselves as a Moorish American is not under the consular jurisdiction that we're exercising. We can account for everyone that is. Whoever's not, it's because we don't know them. That's because we're not going to allow people that have hidden agendas to come amongst us, call themselves a Moorish American, and get saved, you know, and exercise a right while they still, on the other hand, you know, doing whatever evil or whatever manipulative things that they're doing, you know, which is all a training under the Black Code, military operations. Anyway, I told the brother that first of all, I don't come on the scene. I don't need to come on the scene. Second of all, you're traveling incorrectly, so I can't help. Eventually, they pulled him out the car. His girlfriend gets on the phone, and she's under the impression that I'm going to come. And I'm like, no, I told him I can't come because he's not, y'all aren't under consular jurisdiction. And she was like, okay, now they're pulling us out the car. She said they were pulling her out the car and pulling other people out the car. And she said they were putting them in handcuffs. And then the phone hung up. No, before the phone hung up, I said, okay, tell them you're invoking your treaty right to consular jurisdiction. Then the phone hung up. So I waited a few seconds. I walked over to George. George was still in the tent cleaning. I think what was you doing? Cleaning the gun or something? You was cleaning the AR-15 or something you was doing. You still there?
I lost it. Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I was in the tent cleaning.
Yeah, he was in the tent cleaning the gun, the AR-15 or something. And I told George what happened. I told the other brother what happened. Then I contemplated, and I believe George and the other brother was like, you know, there's nothing you can do for him. So I was like, well, let me call back. I called back, and she answered. So I'm like, what happened? They took you out the handcuffs? She said, yeah, they took us out the handcuffs ever since I repeated what you told me to repeat. And I was like, well, why didn't you call me back? She was like, because, I mean, you know, it's too much going on, but are you coming? I said, well, like I said, I don't come. She said, I don't come on to the scene. I don't need to. That's not a part of the protocol. She said, well, they're saying if you don't come down here to speak to them, then they're going to, she said, they're not going to allow us to leave. And I said, what you saying? They're detaining y'all? They're going to detain y'all? She said, yeah. I was like, that doesn't make sense. So I got to come down there and talk to one of the police. She said, yeah, that's what they're saying. I said, okay, you got me on speaker? She said, yeah. I said, okay, have one of them, whoever said that to you, is this the supervisor? She said, I believe so. I said, have him say that. So she went to him and said, sir, you did say the consul general has to come down? She said, yes. I heard him. He said, yes, tell the consul general to come down here and you all are free to leave. I've interpreted that to according to what she said, which was they said come down here and talk to them or else we can't leave and we're going to be detained. That's when I went to George and told George, bro. Well, George heard it, right? George, didn't you hear that part, or did I? Yeah, he heard it.
I heard it on speakerphone.
Yeah, I put it on speakerphone. So I looked at George. I was like, "Come on, bro. Let's just go down there real quick." I didn't want us to leave post. I'm not just Consul General. I'm also Mufti. So George and I was taking a position of Mufti at the range, securing the range. If someone was to come up, then I take position as Consul General. That's why y'all see the vest and all of that, because it's not just Consul General, I'm also Mufti. Until we have enough officers to fill those positions, I'll take the position. But it ain't about title. That's why you all don't hear me yelling out titles and all of that. Anyway, we went to the scene, and pretty much everything that you saw on YouTube is what happened. I got there. I got out the car. I forgot that I had a firearm on my leg. It was in my drop holster on my leg, on my right leg. I forgot that I had that on there. However, my AR-15 that we secured the range with, left it at the range. So my intentions was not to come there with a firearm. Nevertheless, it shouldn't matter. We get there, I get out. If you can remember on the video, I did my hands, like this, like shrugging my shoulders, like, what? Y'all really are about to detain these people? And what do we need to talk about? So I'm like, okay, where's the young woman that invoked the treaty right of consular jurisdiction? She raises her hand and said, I'm here. Then the police, from what I can remember, can't remember the name. What was his name? Cooley, George? Cooley, right? Was it Cooley?
Yeah, Cooley.
Yeah. Sergeant, I believe, Sergeant Cooley. He was the one that yelled out, do you want to talk to us, or something like that? And I said, sure, we can talk over here. And that's when I started walking along the side of the road, under the impression that in order for them to be released, they have to talk to me. I thought that they wanted me to confirm them. I was only going to say, yeah, they're coming to our range. So can we get them a ride, or y'all are detaining them? And if so, what is the purpose of detaining them? So went across the street, they surrounded me and they jumped on me. We go into the detention center. Now here's the part that everybody, possibly wants to hear about. George and I gets to the detention center. Well, do you want to pick up, George? Because I don't want to be the only one talking. You want to start saying your piece from that angle?
Look, keep on going for now, because there's some stuff going on in the background over here. I'm trying to keep people away from it. So just keep on going for now.
All right. So we get into the venue. To the detention center. They put George and I in separate cars. I was yelling out, what are you doing and all that, because I remember some of their faces came to the gun range, and I'm like, y'all know who I am. What the hell are you doing? What are you doing? And then I'm starting thinking in my head, is this what they meant when they said that they was looking for me? But then the thought came of, okay, well, if they were looking for me, why didn't they go to the range? Why didn't they come to my domicile and seize me? Why are they seizing me when me coming to this incident? So I started to think that it was a setup, and they used the people that was traveling to get me to come to the incident. To the scene. And that wasn't the case. When we got to the detention center, I found out that the guy that was traveling, he was, I'm trying to use my words correctly. He was being extremely belligerent. But from what I learned, that's his history with Charles County sheriffs, Charles County de facto courthouses, Charles County Detention Center. That's his history. I didn't know that. When we got there, they treated us as if, George and I'm talking about, they treated us as if we were being belligerent. They handcuffed me to a bench for a few hours, where I had to stand in the hallway, handcuffed to a bench, with my uniform on. Of course, they took everything off, the vest and everything. George, what'd they do to you, George? They sent you to the medical unit. What'd they do with you when I was handcuffed to the bench? You remember?
First, they left his handcuffs to the bench. Then they forced us to go through metal scans to get into the holding cell.
Right. We had to go
and
through
they kept us in the holding cell for a few days. And
right.
the food was so horrible, and they wouldn't give me a veggie tray, so I ended up getting sick. And they sent me to medical.
Okay. Can y'all hear George? I just saw somebody say they can't hear George that well. Can you hear George, Dr. G?
I heard him, but I don't know whether they're hearing.
Okay. So there was a time where we both, did we both go to medical at the same time when they apologized? Or was it just me?
I went to medical the day before. Oh, you mean when we were both? I think it was just you that day.
When he came in.
I think it was Ross that apologized.
Ross. Was it Ross? No, it wasn't Ross. It wasn't Ross that apologized. It was the other big guy. I think it's Dooley or something. It's Dole or something. Anyway, one of the CEOs came to me while, the medical lady was doing, asking the questions and all of that. And he said that I wanted to come and personally apologize to you on what we did to you and your brother. I don't know if he said brother or partner, but he was referring to George. He said we were, what was communicated to us at the detention center, we're separate from Charles County Sheriff Department. They communicated that you two were being belligerent. So when you all got here, we were so aggressive with you all because we thought that you were belligerent because of what they communicated to us. But now that we see that you aren't, he said, I want to apologize on behalf of me and his colleagues for treating you all like that, talking about George and I. And that was the first. I was like, okay, they're apologizing, right? So ever since then, we've been treated with somewhat respect. Then I went into a holding cell while they were still doing processing. Mind you, George and I refused to do fingerprints and pictures and, to give up information, because they don't have a search warrant for that. Nevertheless, the CEO was explaining, he said, you all weren't belligerent. All you did was ask, if we don't give fingerprints, what'll happen? If we refuse to give information, what'll happen? Because we're looking for a threat. If there's no threat, no, we're not doing that. He said that's fine. All you all did was ask questions, et cetera, right? So then I was put in a cell by myself, and a young CO, I ain't gonna put his name out there, he came to me, he said, hey man, I want to ask you a question. He said, you're the Consul General, right? I said, yeah. He said, what happens or what do you do if someone a part of your or under your organization or under your, your chain of command is belligerent? What's the punishment for that if they don't follow the orders or the policies of your organization or whatever you have? And I said, well, we haven't established that yet. So pretty much they'll just, they just won't be entitled to consular jurisdiction. And he said, okay, so there's no punishment if a person, doesn't abide by you all's rules? I said, not necessarily, other than we don't help them. What made you ask me that? He said, no, I was just asking. So that made me think about the person that we came to the scene for. And then I was put in a cell with that person. And I started to see things that I didn't see before. And a lot of stuff I'm going to say for unfiltered, but I'll say this much. I did my best to show the person principles on how to respond to certain things. And that's not their aim, basically. That wasn't his aim, right? So I'll go back to the fight between George and I versus Charles County State's Attorney and District and Circuit Court. We hand wrote the documents, entered them into the record. Whole time we still trying to figure out if this was a setup or not and what their intentions were, since they already knew our status.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
And all right, call right back, George. All right. And we went to the first hearing, which was December 30th. we made a special appearance via the computer screen, and she pretty much didn't override anything we said as far as us not being the straw, as far as us challenging jurisdiction, and et cetera, based off of the writ of error that was entered into the record. Then she said, okay, Mr. Butler, you're being charged with this, that, and the third. I'm like, I just said who I was and who I wasn't. And I was like, you know what? I knew this was going to happen. I'm thinking in my head, I knew this was going to happen. So next time I'm not going to come. And same thing happened to George. She moved forward and disregarded everything that we were saying, even though she accepted what we were saying, and then sent us back to the cell. After that, we decided to not go to any more hearings. All of the hearings after that were postponed, reset, postponed. You go in Maryland case search and see it for yourself, because we were refusing to come up until George has the date. I'm waiting for him to call back. Up until this specific day where it was a Thursday. I'm about to get him on the phone and tell you the correct date. He's calling in now. It was a Thursday. That was gym day. George went to the gym or to the basketball court with everyone else. I stayed behind.
Dial 7.
And
thank you for using Global Tel Link.
They called. Well, I'm gonna let George tell you. George, I'm at the part where you went to the basketball court and they called you out in the hallway. So go ahead.
Okay, yeah, because we were issuing all of the affidavits in response to everything they were doing, and we would not participate. So I'm at the rec room at the basketball court, just finished exercising with the other brothers that with me. And they called me into the hallway. But the whole time, there's one of their Caucasian agents hiding behind the door with the laptop. So as soon as I get over to the door, he pops up from behind the door with a laptop and everything. And they acted as if I went to their little de facto hearing room for a de facto hearing. I tried to get away from it, but they closed the door on me and locked me in the hallway and surrounded me with 6 of their agents and forced me to, under duress, participate in their de facto administrative proceedings. So I stood on status, challenged them the whole time, and he acted as if they had jurisdiction still and proceeded under color of law and told me that he would see me on April 12th. And then the very next day, they did the same thing to Alex. While he was in the cell, they cornered him with a laptop. So if for those that couldn't hear, George went to the basketball court. One of the COs called George out in the hallway. George came out the hallway. There was a CO waiting behind the door. And they closed the door to the basketball court. And then all these other COs came and surrounded George. And one came with a laptop open with the acting administrative clerk pretending to be the judge on the laptop. And George was like, what is this? And it was basically, they brought the hearing to him. Since we was refusing to go to the hearing, they brought the hearing to George and acted as if he consented to come into the hearing. Then the very next day, because, George told me about it, I'm like 2 or 3 cells down from George. So George told me about it. The next day, we were all locked in, and I heard the day room door open. And I knew today was the day of the hearing, the de facto hearing that affected me. I went to the window of the cell, and I saw the CO come in with the laptop, and I yelled out the cell, I know damn well y'all ain't about to bring that laptop to this cell, right? Lo and behold, they brought this laptop right to the cell. They popped the cell doors. They popped cell 1. They popped cell 1. I said, get the hell out of here. Nah, y'all ain't doing that. So it was a different administrative clerk. But yeah, they was like, yes, are you Mr. Butler? I said, nah, I ain't participating. So I grabbed the towel and I held it up, and the CO moved the towel. So I went to the side, and then he moved the camera of the laptop to the side. So I moved to the other side of the window. He did the same thing. I'm like, man, what is this game y'all playing, man? Like y'all about to act like I consented to come. So
I covered the whole screen up. He had closed the door, but then he opened it again. So I said, all right, I'm about to close your laptop. He said, if you step outside of the cell, you're out of bounds and you'll go to the hole. So they was basically trying to corner me in so that they can have this hearing and pretend that I was participating. And that's exactly what happened. And that should be in the transcripts if anybody was the order. I'll get that. What day was that, George?
23rd for me, 24th for you. March.
March 23rd and March 24th, 2023. And they pretended, they said that, I basically, I was like, all right, under duress, I don't have a choice but to participate. Otherwise, y'all going to just move forward and act like I'm participating. And then the state's attorney said, Your Honor, this court has subject matter jurisdiction because the defendant showed up to the hearing today. And I yelled out, I was like, no, I didn't. And they pressed mute. And they started to move forward with the hearing. So I was like, okay, so this is the tactic that they came up with, right, to move forward. And that hearing was considered concluded for George and I because they was getting closer. It was getting closer to the de facto trial date, which was in April. So it got to the point where it was like, all right, they're putting us in between a rock and a hard place on how, we're going to go about this jurisdictional challenge. It's because and this is what I thought of, because they physically got the body, and they're not releasing us on bond, then because, they held both of us on no bond. I said, I think we're just going to have to.
Did they have charges against you, or were? Yeah.
So the initial charge for George and I was in 652, the case 652 and 653. Those charges, what was those charges? Those charges was, basically possession of firearm, et cetera, et cetera. Then later, I believe it was February or March, they opened up a whole nother bill of attainder case from September. And they're saying that this is not an indictment. This is called criminal information. And they did it against me under the straw. They didn't do it against George. They said based off of the YouTube footage of us reopening the gun range. When we reopened the gun range, George, and put that video out there, I forgot. It was September something.
I think it was in September.
Yeah.
It was September.
Well, matter of fact, this is what everyone can do, because that's why I did that. Hold on. I'm about to share screen again. Right here. And go to the gun range case. This right here is, can you see it, Dr. G? It should say Research and Seizure Warrant.
I'm not sure. I just see Exhibit 1. After that, I can't read it. But
okay. So this right here is their affidavit, application for the warrant, for the de facto warrant right here. Mm-hmm. So you all can go on here on the website, download it and read it so that you all can see their narrative as to, why they trumped up this brand new case against the straw Lamont Maurice Butler. And that's when I was like, okay, seems like they're not trying to let me out at all, right? And then they opened up the old case from 2014. Everybody thought that I went to prison because of the Manchin case. That case was thrown out. It was a Charles County case. They reopened that case and said violation of probation. So VOP. So there's a VOP case, which has a backup time of what they say, 5 years. And
I think it was more than that.
No. The other one, the VOP for violation of parole, that was 10 years. So it's supposed to have been an automatic 15 years without the possibility of parole, at least 15 years. right? I thought it was at least 5 years. Nope, it was at least 15 years. And George, you know, he still had the same bill of attainder from 2013. So I'm fighting 3 bills of attainder now, and George is fighting 1. So we got the right handwriting. Everything is on the website. All of the handwritten writs for me is on the website. We're going to work on getting George and put those on the website so it can be public notice. Nevertheless, they separated. They allowed George and I to get in the same cell. So now we're in the same cell. When was that, George? March or April?
Either
end of March.
March.
Yeah, end of March or beginning of April. George and I got in the same cell. We're allegedly co-defendants, right? Co-defendants can't even be on the same unit. Definitely not in the same cell. Anyway, George and I, we're in the cell, we studying, you know, they got microphones in the cell. They said they weren't on, but I believe they were on. And I was like, okay, George, you know, I talked to Taj a few times, you know, since I've been in there. I was like, man, you know, George, they really just want a bond. So since they're accepting our jurisdictional challenge, but still moving forward, let's see the type of deal that they come up with. Let's ask them for a deal, right? And whatever the deal is, we can accept it under duress and protest. Why under duress? Because 1, we're not those individuals that you're identifying us as. Well, I'm not Lamont Maurice Butler. He's not that all cap name. We're not under the black code. So if we're going to accept this agreement, we're going to accept it under duress. We're also going to accept it under protest, meaning that we don't consent and we're only signing so that under protest so that we can exonerate ourselves from any obligations, right? That's the definition of protest. For everyone, go to protest definition, go to duress definition. Anything you sign under duress and or under protest is void. However, they will give you a window, not a window for you to crawl out of, but a window for them to crawl out of. If in fact you have changed your status. The difference between George and I, because when George's de facto trial was set for April, what was it, George? Was it 19th? Huh?
April the 12th.
April the 12th.
And April the 12th.
Yeah, April the 12th. And the one affecting me was set for April the 19th. So George, I told George, go up there and see if they'll offer a plea. George went up there, not a plea, but a deal. George went up there because, you know, they was forcing us to go to the hearings with the laptop. So we couldn't avoid the hearings anymore. George went up there, asked about the plea, and what'd they say, George? What'd the state's attorney say?
Well, it was the day before they finally heard us for the request for advance bond hearing. And on the 11th, that's when they took us in for the request for the advance bond hearing. But we had to wait for them to get back from some type of meeting. And when we finally went, it was before, I believe, Darlene
Carrington, yep.
And, you know, she asked me, you know, well, it's a hard time for you to request a bond hearing, and tomorrow's the trial date, you know, as she said it. If I let you go, will you make an appearance? I said, well, I'll make a special appearance if I'm compelled. And then she just immediately denied it.
Denied the bond.
Give a reason at all. She just immediately denied it.
Right.
She knew everything I was saying was correct. But she had nothing else to say other than deny it once I said I'll make a special appearance, but she knew I was going to continue to challenge jurisdiction. And had already done so.
Right.
And then they sent me back down for Ella.
But then what about the conversation that you had? I don't know if it was directly with the state's attorney, Beatty, but what about that conversation? The state's attorney.
Oh, she asked did they have any bills to offer me. He said, no, I don't have any bills, but I'll never prosecute this one, you know, what they call the charge. There's one bill of attainder. And that was the only thing that they did. And then the next day, they continued to proceed under color of law at the de facto hearing. And he still had no offer of the deal. So I continued to stand on status, challenge everything they were saying throughout the whole de facto trial. The de facto judge kept on removing and bringing back the de facto jury so they wouldn't hear what I was saying. Kept on telling them to ignore what I was saying, ignore his comments, move on to the next question. He did everything he could to obstruct the de facto jury from hearing what I was saying, even paying attention to it. And then when I did catch up their corporate commercial mercenaries in their statement and forced them to admit that they had prior interactions with us near Fire Tower Road, we told them to ignore that too. I attempted to use the recordings that we had of us getting kidnapped and other recordings of us forcing them to leave the range because they were under protection of the jurisdiction. And it further proves that we had prior interactions with them. He wouldn't allow any of it. He did everything he possibly could to proceed under color of law and obstruct the truth from getting out.
And railroaded George. That's because that's not a court. That's a human trafficking venue. Nevertheless, the question was, well, why the hell did they do that to George? And what are they about to do with me? Because I got 3. George got 1. So I was like, okay. It's like, all right, I need to get this this trial date pushed back. So I had someone reach out to an attorney so that I can get the attorney to get a bond review, get bonded out, rescind the consent to the attorney, and then get the case dismissed and get George out. The attorney came. I didn't sign anything. I didn't do none of that. The attorney came. Somebody reached out for an attorney. He came. I talked to him, and I said, he, referred to me as Mr. Butler. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. And I want you to also understand that I'm talking to you under duress right now for the reasons of I have 3 bills of attaiндers styled as cases under this false name. They're bringing the laptop to the cell for George and I to force us or compel us to participate in these hearings because they can't hold us in contempt of court and they can't issue no bench warrant for a failure to appear because we're challenging jurisdiction and we have standing. And nevertheless, they're still moving forward and they're bringing a laptop to compel us to the trial. If George wouldn't have physically went to the venue, then they would have brought the damn laptop to the cell where George was and then had trial there, or what appeared to be trial. It's not a trial. So he, still, talking like an attorney, and I'm like, all right. So he was like, so you want me to get you the bond review? And I'm nah, because you still talking like, you're not hearing what I'm saying. I'm saying something to you, but you're not responding to what I'm saying. You're going down, your whatever. So I started to send in documents, handwritten documents, saying to remove him from the case. I did a affidavit of fact, rescission of verbal agreement because I didn't sign anything, and I didn't know that he had made an appearance online and all of that, and then started filing motions and all that. I didn't know he did all of that. Nevertheless, that didn't affect me anyway. So when I removed the attorney in writing, they had brought me up for that hearing to see if I wanted to have him removed. And they also called the hearing a bail review. So I also noticed that George went before Greer, which is a de facto judge. I went before West, which is the chief de facto judge. I'm like, okay, so they split us. We're supposed to be alleged co-defendants, but we're going before 2 different people. And I thought that was, kind of ironic. Nevertheless, the hearing started, and he said, before we move forward, Mr. L, because West was identifying me as Mr. L, because they put the AKA on there, the AKA Lamont Maurice L. And he said, before we move forward, I want to confirm that you either want to use this attorney for this bail review or you don't. And I said, I do not. I called him under duress. So for the purpose of me going through the conditions that I'm going through, X, Y, Z, A, B, C, but no, I don't consent to no attorney. They said, all right, he's removed. So that was, the attorney made his appearance in April. He was removed in May. And then the bail was denied. And I was sent back to the cell. So next hearing came about. And I talked to Wes and I was like, listen, this was before the trial. The trial was pushed back from April to, I believe, June. And I think this hearing here that I'm speaking of was in May now. And he said that, Wes said that I think that you and the state's attorney should come up with some type of settlement. And I was like, yeah, well, first, could you all reach out to the general counsel and to a sheriff of a local county who knows who I am. The general counsel for Charles County Sheriff knows who I am. The director of the jail knows who I am. They all know me and my position as Consul General, and they know I'm under the black codes. So you can reach out to them. Also, you can tell them what my intentions were. George and I's intentions, and I mentioned George in this hearing, George and I's intention was not to come to exercise consular jurisdiction at that traffic stop, nor were we coming to disrupt anything that took place. We were informed by the people that was in the car that if I didn't come to talk to y'all or to talk to the police, that they would detain the people in the car. That's the whole reason why we came. Otherwise, we wouldn't have came. And he said, okay, I'm going to reach out to the general counsel. I'm not trying to put his name out there. I don't know if I put his name out there already or not. But anyway, he said, I'll reach out to them. I'll reach out to these people, and we'll set the hearing for a later date. So they set the hearing for the later date, came back up, and that's when he was like, yes, I talked to those individuals, and they did nothing but gave me high regard and respect for you and all of that. They said they don't really agree with everything you're saying. However, they said you were a good person. You teach civics. You've taken a position of consul general, et cetera, et cetera. So, and this is West talking, the de facto chief administrative judge. He said, so I think that you and the state's attorney should talk and come up with something. So I said, okay. And, state's attorney Beatty was like, okay, yes, we can do that, et cetera, et cetera. So he said that he was going to come the following week to come and visit me. Following week came, he visited me physically in the flesh, with the plexiglass in front of us, looked me in the eye while we were on the phone looking at each other and said, Lamont, I know you're a good person. If I didn't think you was a good person, we would not be sitting here right now having this conversation. He said, we know what your intentions are, et cetera, all of that. And this is what we can work out. I said, all right, listen, whatever deal you presenting, I'm going to take it under duress and protest. He was like, yes, because you don't agree with the jurisdiction. You're saying that you're not this person. Yes, that's fine. That's fine. He said, all right. And then we started talking about the charges that they were going to drop and the charges they were going to keep. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to do a writ of error. I'm going, basically that's unfiltered stuff. I'll talk about that in unfiltered. And I asked, I said, well, why is it that you all couldn't come up with this agreement with George? He was like, well, that's just not what I offered George. I offered George to dismiss one of the charges, but that was it. It's like, okay, I don't understand that. But all right. So hearing comes, the state's attorney talks, and then we had a discussion with Wes, and Wes was telling me that do I feel threatened? And he was like, wait a minute, you do feel threatened, but everybody's under duress because you're in jail. So all of you all under duress. So you're taking this plea under duress. I said, yes. And it's a no contest plea. I didn't want to plead guilty. I'm just under duress. I'm not going to contend, but I'm contending to the jurisdiction. He said, yes, that's fine. I said, okay, for the record. I will agree to this and no jail time. He said, okay, so we'll give you, no prison time. He said, okay, we'll give you, 405 days, but then they took off 10-day good time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it ended up being only 3 months. And that was June 7th or something like that. Anyway, so now I'm in there, doing the time until September, till the release date. George got transferred from our tier, in my cell, to another tier, which that tier is the tier for people that's going up the road, going to prison. So we're communicating, George and I is communicating via three-way with somebody. And, making sure he's good and all of that. And I'm still puzzled on why they did that to him and not me until I came up with this idea. I'm like, wait a minute, George. George is, you still there, George?
Yeah, I'm still here.
George is a victim of the name change process. Everybody, and this is the lesson. This is one of the lessons that everybody has to get out of this. Everybody that did a name change, I hope you all can hear me loud and clear. Everybody that did a name change, because that's what was promoted by the dirty Moors that are going to put you back into slavery, like Noble Drew Ali said. Everybody that did a name change had to submit to the jurisdiction of the court in order for the court to grant the name change. George did a name change. He's in the process of rescinding the name change right now. But he did a name change to change the name on the Social Security card because dirty Moors are promoting to change the name on the Social Security card so they can recognize you and you're going to be recognized and all that. That's just like the UCC1, the IRS, any of those processes, you are submitting to the jurisdiction. You're not getting help. It's not helping you. You are creating a contract or an agreement, or what's Taj calls it, a stock agreement, because that's what it is. You're agreeing to be their stock. They're just calling it name change. What do you need permission? First of all, why would you go to them? And this isn't no shot at anybody that fell for that trick. Not George, not anyone that fell for that trick. That was a trick. But why? Think about it. Why would you need to get a permission from the same people that's stealing your birthright to get permission to change your name? 1. 2, you're not changing the name. You're correcting it. What you're doing is you're affixing L or Bay to the straw name. Now it's not a slave name. It's a free and national name. Name nevertheless. And the reason why you can do that without a name change is because L and Bay is your inheritance. You're claiming L or Bay. So when you claim the L or Bay, you don't do business in the slave name no more. Drew Ali said, keep old business the same, all old business the same. That means you don't change the name. He said, do all new business in your free and national name. That means from this day forward, not the appellation, the free and national name. We don't have names. Name is a designation. It does not identify a human. Name identifies persons, corporations, places, and things. We're not persons. We're not, unless you qualify a person with natural. We're not places and we're not things. So we don't have names. The trade name, which is the all cap name, becomes free and national when you hyphen L or hyphen Bay to it without changing it. Don't change it. You're correcting it. From that day forward, you are doing business in your free and national name. If the bank has John Smith, you don't get a name change and then bring it to the bank. No, the legal notice is supposed to take care of that. So John Smith is now John Smith hyphen Bay. Well, you need a name change to do. Nope. And you enforce, what's that? Article 15 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights passed by the United Nations in 1948, which says everyone has a right to a nationality. No one shall be arbitrarily deprived of his nationality, nor denied the right to change his nationality. So L and Bay is your nationality. Your nationality is Moorish Americans. Who were Moorish Americans? Els, Bays, Als, Days, and Alis. You don't need to change your name to do that, to claim that. That's a birthright. That's an inheritance. You claim it. Noble Drew Ali said, if you don't do anything else, proclaim your nationality. A lot of the new Moors coming into this movement don't know that because they haven't gone to the temple and learned that. They haven't learned the 101s. They haven't learned the Circle 7, and they haven't read or learned the Moorish literature. So they come into this information, and all they hear is, these ain't courts. You got a right to travel, and you ain't driving. The courts don't have jurisdiction. You don't have to pay taxes. So they join in the movement, and they think that this is just about the benefit, when there's a responsibility comes with it. This is literally self-government. So you correcting the name, on the bank account, you correcting the name on the lease agreement that you got with the apartment complex, all of that is called nationalization. That's nationalization. Not just having your card, now you're nationalized. No, everything you do is nationalization. Otherwise, you're being denationalized. You pay your rent for the month, that's denationalization because it ain't payment and you ain't supposed to be under no rent. Rent is fee. Fee and rent is the same as cheap. It's the same thing. Feudal, all of that comes under feudalism. That's the opposite of jurisprudence. Feudalism is negative law. Jurisprudence is the science that treats of positive law. We're learning jurisprudence, self-government, autonomy, that's state, that's status, right? So you're correcting your status everywhere you go. In other words, you're correcting your state everywhere you go. If your state of mind is Morocco, the Moroccan Empire, then you will respond like that. If your state of mind is the state of Maryland, you're going to respond like that. So if you got a name change or UCC1 or an IRS agreement or whatever the case through the state, then you just agree to that stock agreement and they're going to continue to exercise jurisdiction over you. They're not going to recognize your rights. So there's no...
I was going to say that someone had put in with the same social security number, SSN number. With that, I said, I see where someone kind of raised the question with the same SSN number. That's an issue.
So here's what I did when I got out of prison. Just to give you all an example. When I got out, I went and retrieved my legal notice. I got my national ID card. I got this social security card. That name is different than the national ID card. The national ID card says the free and national name, Lamont Maurice Butler -L. But you all know I go by Lamont Maurice L. I don't do business in Lamont Maurice L because that's not the free and national name. It's the holy name. That's the appellation. I do business in Lamont Maurice Butler -L or Lamont Butler -L. That's what Noble Drew Ali said to do. That's the free and national name. When I went to the the de facto DC government building for food stamps, because I just came home from prison, and I brought those instruments. This
was the earlier prison.
This was back in 2019, right. When I first got out. I did the legal notice. I bought the legal notice, national ID card, social security card, and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the Rights of Indigenous People, United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. And I was ready to, go to mental war, right? So I bought that. They said, yes, sir, this national ID card or this ID doesn't match the name on the social security card. So we can't accept this. We need a state issued ID. Nope, I took them to 1508 of the Criminal Justice Resource Manual, which a lot of people know about. You put in Google, put in 1508 National Identity Card, and the Department of Justice website is going to pop up, and it's going to say, in the absence of a national identity card. And I told the lady, I'm not in absence of my national identity card. So I'm not going to use a birth certificate because, as you can see right here, it does not identify you. I'm not going to use a driver's license because it does not identify you. I'm not going to use a personal identification card. issued from the Department of Motor Vehicles because it does not identify you. It doesn't identify me. I'm using a national identity card. 1, 2. She was like, well, the name is not the same. I said, 2, that's my inheritance. I don't have to change my name on that. And then I showed her Article 6 of the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People and Article 15 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I explained that. She went and talked to the supervisor, came out with the food stamp card that says Lamont Butler -L on it. I did not change my name. So you have that right there is called nationalization. It's the demonstration. It's the action. It's you demonstrating. That's nationalization, not just the ID or the paperwork. It's what you do with it. So, because they're going to promote that you get one of their instruments so that they can gain jurisdiction again. Now, there's another thing that I want to bring up that coincides with what I just said. And, the state? I was going to go to the case law. Yeah. So the case law right here. Let me go to screen share. All right. Dr. G, you see it?
Yes.
The screen? Okay. We are going to Penhallow versus Doan's Administrators. This is on the website, enforcetheconstitution.org. Click on study materials for more. It reads, Penhallow versus Doan's. In as much as every government is an artificial person, an abstraction, and a creature of the mind only, a government can interface only with other artificial persons. The imaginary, having neither actuality nor substance, is foreclosed from creating and attempting parity with the tangible. The legal manifestation of this is the legal manifestation, is that no government, as well as any law, agency, aspect, court, etc., can concern itself with anything other than corporate artificial persons and the contracts between them. So if you have any active contracts, which really aren't contracts, it's just a form of consent, which the term consensus facit legem, consent makes the law, that's where that comes from. If you have any contracts between you and the de facto government, which includes driver's license, not birth certificate, marriage certificate or marriage license, gun license or gun permit, same thing, name change, UCC1, etc. Because you already know the government is a corporation. It's not a government. If you say government, qualify the what you're saying, de facto government, because it's not government. They are private corporations pretending to be government. If you have a contract or a form of consent, which includes parole, probation, bailing out, etc., then they're going to exercise jurisdiction over you, even if it's de facto, per Penhallow versus Doan's Administrators. So stop allowing these people to convince you that you need to do something or get permission from them to exercise a birthright, because you don't. You don't need them to so-called recognize you. They already recognize you. We have to recognize us. We have to recognize that what we put in writing more than they do. Because if they see that you don't recognize your words in writing, then they're not going to recognize it. If you're choosing to nationalize and you see that they're still picking on you while you're enforcing, then you need to go back into your records to see what you did or what's still pending or what's still open that you did as far as consenting to their jurisdiction. That's what you have to do. Otherwise, you're still clinging to names and principles that allude to slavery. So you're supposed to do business, do all new business in your free and national name. Otherwise, and with all rights reserved. Otherwise, they're going to assume jurisdiction. So I explained that to George, just like I explained it to
So George's situation, there's discussion in the chat about why he's in and you're out. You were trying to explain, because somebody even said when you got the food stamp cards, you put yourself back in their jurisdiction. But I'm not know. I'm just telling you what it said.
I didn't put. If I put myself back in their jurisdiction, Dr. G, they would have kidnapped me a long time ago for violation of probation. But I'm not on probation. I'm not on parole. They would have did that a long time ago. I've been traveling here to Massachusetts, and I posted it all on the website. And guess what the police told? Well, the state's attorney told me when he came to talk to me that you were not on Charles County radar. I know that the Charles County Sheriff Department came to the range. I saw the video that you told them who you were, et cetera, but you still wasn't on their radar. He said, and I said, what about these rumors that I was supposed to have been under investigation by FBI and all of that? He said, that's exactly what they were, rumors. But they're part of the discovery. I seen FBI, I seen ATF. I was even told that Homeland Security was investigating me. At first they said Moore's at Charles County. And then someone said, no. They said you. They weren't investigating George or anyone else. They said Homeland Security is investigating you because Charles County, allegedly, Charles County made a complaint to Homeland Security saying that I was belligerent, that I was on some terrorist plot stuff, right? But the state's attorney was like, yeah, nah, no, you weren't on our radar. Up until the point where you came to the traffic scene. But he said if you never came to that traffic scene, we wouldn't be having this discussion. You wouldn't be here. George wouldn't even be here. He said, and here's the big kicker. The gun range would have still been open. They weren't even trying to stop that. They said, what you all were doing, we see that y'all wasn't shooting across the street in the neighbors' yards and all that. He said the only thing we had a complaint about was the neighbor behind the gun range complaining that you were shooting bullets over his yard. Other complaints was, yeah, it sounds like Iraq over there on Sundays, these automatic weapons shooting and all of that. And they was not, paying attention to, the other neighbors because they don't have the jurisdiction to stop what we're doing. Up until the point where we came to the traffic stop, the thing happened to us. So now that we're in, the owner of the property, they December, we went in November. December, the FBI, Charles County, SWAT, or whoever came up in on the property, bum rushed the owner, all of that. But he said that, they was real respectful. But he said the Alphabet Boys came, all of that came after we was already in, But I was told that they would not have shut that down. All of this would not have happened if we didn't come to that traffic stop. Basically.
Does it seem like that was sort of a setup? Can I say that?
I will talk about that on Unfiltered. I'll say this, that the people that I thought set me up, it wasn't them. It wasn't them.
Okay.
Yeah. And Dr. Hannibal said.
And I'll just say this, if the people that you thought set you up knows that you thought set them up, you're exonerating them, whoever they are, if they're seeing this. Yes.
Yeah. Because it's kind of like what happened in 2013 in the not the mansion case. That was all me. Charles County with that townhouse, that was another family. They called me to the city.
You went to help them again. Have you learned your lesson?
Yes. But no. Look, I learned my lesson back then. I didn't come to help. I didn't come to, help them at the traffic stop. I only came with George because we weren't under the impression that the police asked us to come to the traffic stop so that those individuals can be released.
But you went to help them. Again, you went to help somebody else.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Yeah, but if I wasn't told that the police said that, we would not have came, because I didn't want to have another episode, which ended up being another episode. Yeah, the family in 2013 called, begged, and pleaded for me to come to that property. We went over the property, and I got caught in it, and then I got thrown in the news as the ringleader. This was while the mansion case was going on. So that happened, and that led me to go to prison for 5 years, which could have been avoided, but I was standing on jurisdiction. But they offered the same deal that they offered me. This time they offered me that deal last time, and I was like, I ain't taking no deal. I'm challenging jurisdiction. I could have did the deal, signed under protest and duress. Let me show y'all what that looks like. Everything is on this website. Hold on. And this is for erudite study purposes.
Okay.
So that everyone, because the whole point of this is each one teach one. So this is the instruments that I signed right here. Plea sentence agreement. Defendant will enter a plea of nolo contendere to amend count 1, conspiracy to possess firearm with a prior disqualifying conviction, specifically a crime of violence in 652. State will dismiss other charges in 652, 122 in its entirety. The state will not use the incident that is the 652 as a basis to violate the defendant's probation in 884. And then et cetera, right? Look how I signed. Under protest and without prejudice. While that's there, I'm going to read under protest real quick. I mean, the word protest in the law dictionary, Black's Law, 5th edition. Normally, I would have pulled it up on the laptop so that y'all can see what I'm reading, but for the sake of time, I'm going to just read it from the hardcover. Protest, a formal declaration made by a person interested or concerned in some act about to be done or already performed, whereby he expresses his dissent or disapproval or affirms the act against his will. The object of such a declaration is generally to save some right which would be lost to him if his implied assent could be made out, or to exonerate himself from some responsibility which would attach to him unless he expressly negative his assent.
You mean it probably said negated?
It's spelled negatived, negative. I've never heard that word before.
Yeah, it should be negated. That's I guess where the law is different.
Yeah, we'll say negative in the law dictionary.
Yeah,
so I signed under protest and duress. You already know what duress means. Y'all should, but something told me to read it anyway. Duress. D-U-R-E-S-S. Duress consists in any illegal imprisonment or legal imprisonment used for an illegal purpose or threat of bodily harm or other means amounting to or tending to coerce the will of another and actually inducing him to do an act contrary to his free will. So it was signed under protest and duress. Without prejudice means without loss of any rights. Same for this. This is an unsupervised probation order. Signed under protest and duress. So is it enforceable? No. This is exactly how I signed when I got out of prison. Under protest and duress. However, your status has to be correct, meaning your state of mind, not just your state of mind, but the records that they got on you has to be corrected. Because what do they say? Anything you say, past, present, or future, can and will be used against you. And this is their way of using what,
he's like, look at DVD. When you say anything, you can say past, present, or it can be used against you. You can't just, yeah.
Meaning you can't consent to the jurisdiction on the name change, and that is still inactive. It's stated inactive. Everybody who did a name change, go to, if y'all got online case searches, go to your state online case search and look up that record. It's going to say inactive. That means it's still active. It's still open. There's just no activity going on.
So somebody might say, and I saw somebody ask, well, how do you go about reversing? Because I know you mentioned that George was working on that.
Yeah, he's working on it now.
Of course, we in 2 hours and 15 minutes. I don't know whether that's something you can share in the unfiltered.
Well, my best advice on the website. My best advice, because this is about sincerity. Everybody, if you're sincere, contact the clerk's office and ask them, how do I rescind the name change? When George and I did that, they said that you'll have to write in for the de facto judge to let them know what you're trying to do. And for the most part, she said, for the most part, it'll be just another name change. And I was like, all right, well, do the other name change, changing it from the straw from George Neal -Bay to George Neal. But this time, when you sign, you know how to sign. Because before, when he signed, whenever he did it, he just signed, regular signature. He didn't express protest. He didn't express duress, none of that. And he explained in the writing that he was under the impression that this was a part of nationalizing and getting his free and national name recognized, when he did not have to do that. So that's called fraud in the inducement. He was induced by way of fraud to do a name change by Dirty Moors. So was a whole bunch of other people. And the common denominator that I saw between people that I've assisted and it didn't work, meaning the people didn't recognize their right, versus the people that I've assisted and they had their rights recognized to this day, still traveling, still don't have a mortgage, et cetera, was if they did a UCC or not, if they did a name change or not, if they still have a driver's license, basically if they still had any active records with the de facto state in which they're doing business in that straw name and they're giving up a right. Same for gun license. If you got a gun license, don't talk about exercising your right to keep and bear arms because you gave it up. So if you're sincere, ask them what you have to do to forfeit it. Not forfeit it, to rescind it, which means to cancel it. Ask them, they'll tell you. What would you at least say, speaking in intelligent tone to the people in City Hall, and they'll be glad to give you a favorable reply. And it's not because if you cut me, I bleed green or gold blood, or because I'm special or anything like that. No. If they're recognizing my rights, and I got a whole slew of people who else their rights they're recognizing, and they're not recognizing your rights, and that means you have to do your due diligence to go back in time to see what it is that they see that you don't see in the record. That's it. Because for some reason, I'm getting a bunch of backlash from the people that is supposed to be on our side, and the people that's supposed to be the opponents is not only recognizing my recognizing my state of mind, that's what state is, and they're actually like helping me vet the people around me. And a lot of them watch Taj, a lot of them watch you, Dr. G, a lot of them come on the channel, they're supportive. When I was in the jail, a lot of the COs, was supportive of what they're seeing on YouTube and et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going to say too much, but yeah. And I'm like, well, how is it that y'all are more supportive than the people that we supposed to be fighting with? Y'all the people we fighting against. Mm-hmm. And I know why.
Well, can you share before we go what happened in at Massachusetts when the female
yeah. So when we went up there to exercise consular jurisdiction with Quinn, because we would not have went if they did not record. The clerk's office at Malden District Court not only recorded the orders that was issued from Morocco Consular Court, they certified it. They certified it and they sent it to me via email and hard copy to my P.O. box. And then we got the certified orders that we issued. Full faith and credit has to be given to them. So we traveled all the way to Massachusetts. They cornered us in the back of the parking lot, and it's on YouTube. You'll see me talking to a elder European or elder Caucasian woman. You know, she was a lieutenant with Massachusetts State Police. And she's going back and forth, acting like, you know, she doesn't know what I'm talking about, et cetera, but kept getting on the phone, walking away, coming back, getting on the phone, walking away, coming back, trying to break up my speech and what I was enforcing. When we went to the impound, they kidnapped 2 sisters up front. I didn't notice at the time, but I saw in the Massachusetts Journal or something like that, in their media website, they kidnapped 2 sisters of the supporters from the Rise of the Moors. And, you know, other supporters of the Rise of the Moors came out yelling, and there was a bunch of commotion and all of that. Right after that, they went in the back of the parking lot, and there wasn't nothing of that going on. Ain't nobody covered that. We had to cover that with our cameras. But they didn't cover what happened, and they ain't talking about what happened in the back of the parking lot. Those sisters got kidnapped. Well, one sister got kidnapped for traveling without a driver's license initially. Then she bonded out and then got kidnapped for having a possession of a firearm in her trunk. The sister in the back that was with us, she didn't get kidnapped for traveling without a driver's license, even though she was. She got kidnapped because the car was still registered and she traded. She basically, you know, follow what I said as far as displaying the national ID card. But if you read commerce is also an exchange of words. So they asked her for the information on the card, meaning, yeah, what's the name say? And she said what the name was. And then he said, can you spell it? She said, yes, and started spelling it out as she was holding up the ID to him, as if he couldn't read it. That's trade. Now, I explained that to her, but, you know, I already know that the training kicks in once you're in that position or in that predicament. Training kicks in. You know what I mean? Which you've been trained under animal husbandry training. That kicked in and I watched it. I was like, they was like, turn off the car. Now I said, do not turn off the car. Listen to me. Man, you better turn the car off. He's not even making a threat. Don't turn the car off. She's like, all right, cut the car off. Put the keys on the dashboard. All right, boom. I'm like, So that's how she got her car taken. However, they didn't kidnap her. They said, yes, this is traffic. We don't arrest with traffic. Traffic is not an arrestable offense.
They stole
they
her,
kidnapped
her
the sister
vehicle,
up front.
her vessel. Mm-hmm.
Huh?
I said they confiscated, stole
yeah,
her
they
property.
confiscated her vessel. We went to the impound lot, and that same lieutenant came, and I pulled her to the side. No, first she came and what happened first? Anyway, she came to the sister that we was with, and she was like, okay, do you have a certificate of title for the vehicle? She said no, because that's not proof of ownership. She said, okay, what do you have? And she told her what she had. Vehicles in the trust, you got the buyer's order, etc. She said, okay, I'm going to release it. I think before she did that, or after she did that, I pulled the Caucasian woman to the side, and her subordinate came with her. It was a Caucasian man. And she told me off record, of course we know who the Moors are. We know the history of this land. You know, Massachusetts was one of the first states. We know this is your land. I'm like, so wait a minute. You knew this whole time? She was like, of course we know. We know the history of this land. And I was like, well, why did you act like you didn't know in the back parking lot? She was like, because I'm just doing my job. I said, so your job is to pretend that you don't know? She was like, I got a mortgage to pay. She said, but look, we're not assholes. We're not all assholes. Some of us came up in the same neighborhoods as you all, but you all think that we're all assholes, et cetera, et cetera. She punched me in the shoulder. We laughed. And I'm just sitting there like, damn, I wish I could get this on record. I was like, so did you contact FBI or something to see, who we were, for y'all to respond to us this way? She said, I can't disclose that to you. So, okay. But you know who the Moors are. She said, yeah, we thought that you all would rise in the Moors, but apparently you're not. And I said, you're saying that because of how we respond versus how they respond. She said, yeah. And I said, okay, well, and I asked her this to see how sincere she was going to be. I said, did you all know that Jamal was an agent? She said, not offhand. We didn't know that offhand. Eventually, we learned that he was working, and got those people in trouble. It's like, damn, I wish I could have got that on record. But yeah, she gave that response, and that pretty much confirmed what Taj said and what I was experiencing. Why is it that there's
you remember what I got early on and told you?
Was that
about that situation, if you remember?
Early on the day.
Early on about the rise of the Moors.
Oh, yeah. You talking about when we talked a while back?
When it first happened. And I told you about
the sure did. Yep.
And it came out.
Sure did. Yeah, and it came out. And it was confirmed by Massachusetts State Police Lieutenant. So the moral or the lessons behind all of this is one, this is why I don't come to the scene. It's not a direct help. Consular assistance is not attorney assistance. It's not, okay, you invoke your treaty right to consular jurisdiction, and then the consul comes and speaks and enforces your rights. No, that's not how consular jurisdiction works. All right? A lot of people need to understand that the responsibility is still on you. You're only entitled to consular jurisdiction if you're competent. If you read the definition of escheat is the reversion of your estate to the state. In consequence,
and the name, what gets me is the name. Escheat. You hear cheat? Cheat is right. Cheat.
Yes. So they get to cheat you if you if you're not competent to demonstrate or to claim your rights. It says
and feudal. That means we're feuding. As opposed to
exactly.
Exactly. They don't hide. They don't hide it. But people don't see it, but they don't hide it.
That's and they don't hide it because that karma, that law of cause and effect, doesn't come back on them, so that they can say they told you, because they know they trained you to think and speak connotatively and not the true meaning of words.
True.
That's why they say anything you say, we're going to use it against you.
Yeah.
Because that also ties up with anybody who heard the law of attraction, like attracts like. So whatever you put your mind and focus and energy on, you're going to attract it to you. So you be in that energy. If you're not really in this energy, you don't think they're going to see it. Because how do you know if you know something if you're not tested?
True.
And then you can't say, yeah, man, I didn't know back then to not change my name. Now I know. Okay, that doesn't negate that the record that's still open says that you consented to their jurisdiction to change your name. You got to correct that. Or the record reflects that you signed something that says you're submitting to their jurisdiction to file a lawsuit. Well, I'm about to win the lawsuit. Few people told me that. Well, yeah, I'm about to win. It's going in my favor. But you telling me I got to close that out in order to exercise my birthright? Yeah. Aren't you trying to challenge their jurisdiction?
Well, all these people that put all these liens, you know what I mean? Placed all these liens or the lawsuits, they might have that same, are you saying they would have the same situation?
I didn't get the lien. Who is, okay.
I mean, like, I hear people tell me, like, I got a case against all these, I put, what do they call them? What do they call it when you put are they liens?
Liens, yeah. They started to say, I put a lien on this, or put a lien on that.
Yeah. Now,
Okay,
are
so
they still in the jurisdiction when they do that?
it depends on how they did it. So if you're saying that you put a lien on somebody's property, did you open up a case in their venue? In order for you to do that, you got to make an appearance. An appearance doesn't mean physically come. An appearance means to voluntarily submit to the jurisdiction. Here, Black's Law, 5th edition, right? Mm-hmm. Appearance. It says the voluntary submission to the court's jurisdiction. In civil actions, the parties do not normally actually appear in person, but rather through their attorneys. Also, at many stages of criminal procedures, particularly involving minor offenses, the defendant's attorney appears on his behalf. It says an appearance may be either general or special. The former, appearance, general appearance, voluntary appearance, is a simple and unqualified or unrestricted submission to the jurisdiction of the court. The latter, special appearance, is for the purpose of testing the sufficiency of service or the jurisdiction of the court. So you would not open a lawsuit, file a lawsuit, and then say you're making a special appearance. That's a contradiction, because the whole purpose of getting the de facto court involved is so that they can make the judgment. But if they don't have delegation of authority from Congress per Article 3, Section 1 and 2 of the Constitution, they can't make a judgment unless you give them the consent to. So who makes the judgment over your estate? The 10th Amendment says the power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution. That includes judicial powers are reserved to the people. So who exercises the judicial power? You. So you would not submit to the jurisdiction of the de facto court so that they can exercise judicial power. You would issue a default judgment. Default judgment is a judgment pronounced by you due to their default, their failure to prove their power. And then you pronounce the judgment. And then in that judgment, you say that this judgment is also a lien against XYZ ABC to secure the performance of this judgment and the payment of the judgment. That's a lien. If they did some other lien, like, UCC1 lien, that's not a lien, first of all. That's a security agreement. If you did administrative process, everybody should know that the administrative process comes under the APA, the Administrative Procedures Act of 1934. That's under the 14th Amendment. That's unconstitutional. Anything under the 14th Amendment is unconstitutional. UCC is under the 14th Amendment. Administrative process, 14th Amendment. IRS process, 14th Amendment. Name change, 14th Amendment. Driver's license, all of that stuff is under the 14th Amendment. It's unconstitutional. Noble Drew Ali said, it is a sin. It said this in the Divine Warning by the Prophet for the Nations. It is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and to cling to names and principles that delude to slavery. Any name, any principle that deludes to slavery, that's a sin. Sin means debt. So you have to uncling yourself from names and principles that delude to slavery. Those principles under the Black Code that have you responding uncivilized, those principles. Because they'll poke at you and they'll see how you're going to respond. You're going to respond. You're going to be mad. You're going to be uncivilized. You're going to say, man, F them, man. They keep violating our rights. Man, F them, man, da-da-da, all of that. Okay, you under the Black Code still. Because at the end of the day, Freemasonry, it's not evil. That's our science. Freemasonry is a system of morality veiled in allegory, illustrated by signs and symbols for men and women of understanding. They preserve that knowledge. They're the gatekeepers, the keepers of the North Gate. So when they say, I'm just doing my job, they're saying, I'm just doing my Job. What did God ask Satan in the book of Job? Where are you going, Satan? What was Satan's reply? I'm going to and fro the earth, seeking whom I may devour. What the police doing?
Same thing.
They're doing their job. And what did God say? Well, go ahead and test my most faithful servant. I bet you he don't curse my name. So God allowed Satan, this is allegory. God allowed Satan to test Job, and Job never cursed God's name. Job's friends came around. It was like, Job, man, you need to stop all that, man, and cut that stuff out. Just like how everybody, family and friends, relatives, loved ones coming around saying that more stuff, you need to cut that stuff out.
Yeah.
So that you can curse your God. Cursing your God is not cursing the Almighty Creator. Cursing your God, remember, God is a verb transitive. It means to invoke, to call upon, to implore. What are you invoking, calling upon, and imploring? Words and ideas. So if you have an idea and then they poke at you, you going to go against that idea or you going to curse it? You see what I'm saying? If you have an idea, what does it say in Circle 7? This is why everybody has to get the creed, not just the principles, national principles, but our national creed. Circle 7 says, a man's ideal is his God. And so as man unfolds, his God unfolds. Man's God today, tomorrow is not God. That's because that's your ideals. An ideal is an idea. It's also the highest form or model of thought. So if you see yourself today as this, and then the next day you learn more, now you see yourself higher. So that ideal or that God is gone.
Right.
When I went before Wes, I said, Wes, I do not wish to curse my God. So I cannot consent to being Lamont Maurice Butler. I cannot consent to this venue's jurisdiction. I cannot consent to anything that's taking place. Nevertheless, I'm compelled to participate under duress and protest for the sake of me not going to prison. And I don't have any contracts with you all. I don't have any records of me consenting. Now I'm here. Had I had a name change, I'd be where George is.
But you are working, and that, because a lot of people are saying, like, with that same vigor and so forth, let's get George out. You're working on it.
Yes, we're working on it. And people and I ain't talking to people that's being sincere, the other people, because I done heard people, yeah, well, what he doing to get George out? How come he out? How come he ain't get, well, what are you all doing? What is other people doing to get George out? Y'all want to help? Or you just want to stand on the sideline and continue to talk trash? Because this is a great missionary work. We are setting up a program and not a program. We're setting up a process to get George out. But first and foremost, George has to clean up his record. This is what being sincere is all about. If you see that you're trying to bake a cake and you follow the directions, and the directions say if you do this, that, step 1, step 2, step 3, the cake come out like this. You did step 1, step 2, step 3, but the cake come out like mush. Are you going to blame the oven or blame the process that you did? Maybe you got to go back on the steps and see what you did wrong, because insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over and expecting different results. You're getting the same result.
True. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So if it's not working, maybe you need to check the record. I'm saying this in general. Maybe you need to check your records, your past history. What are you doing? What have you done? And for those, and we can leave on this because I got to make this point. For those that think that they can nationalize or do what appears to be a nationalization process, claim to be, now I'm a Moorish American, and still do wicked BS in the background, think again, because Noble Drew Ali has a section in the Moorish literature. It's called caveat emptor. That means let the buyer beware. And there's been a lot of people that came around me thinking that they can, still do the stuff that they was doing in the street while at the same time exercising a birthright or trying to enforce a birthright, and they got hammered. Yeah, and some of them was confidential informants, and informants isn't just giving them information, getting information and bringing it back. They also sabotage. They'll come around you, do something stupid, and then come around you and try to say, yeah, I'm with him. We together, so they can make you look bad. I've had a lot of that. A lot of it. I don't know if y'all can hear the frustration in my voice, but don't think.
I mean, and I know, and we talked a little earlier, and I know what you said. So, I know you don't want people to think that, you have this grandiose, mindset about who you are and what you've been able to accomplish, because frustration, leadership, we undergo a lot of frustration because we're trying to not only deal with everybody else's ish, but we have we're and I was like, are we human? Remember I said, or whatever we are. Remember I said that to you? Yeah. We are, you cut us, we bleed. You bleed, you hurt. You feel the pain of betrayal and people that you thought were with you. And then you find out that they were against you or that they were conspiring and so forth. You feel that. And yet you still have to keep going on. So I know you've heard and are hearing all kinds of things. And plus, they say this is preaching, but strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. You experienced that. You as a leader were stricken for whatever time it was, and most of the folks scattered and stood, got on the side and said, see, I knew. If you knew, then why were you with him? If you knew. No, you had
my favorite question my favorite question is always, what are you here for? If you're not here for this, what are you here for?
Yeah.
So they recognize, let me just put this out there. They recognize my state. I didn't have to start a new state. I just went back to the state of my ancient foremothers and forefathers, like Noble Drew Ali said to do. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Taj said it a lot of times. They recognize my state. They don't recognize your state by saying, yes, we don't have jurisdiction. You're right. We're going to dismiss this case. No, they're going to veil it because they're liars, like the Bible said from the beginning. But if they recognize you, they'll give you a window. You just have to know when to look at it, when to see it, and then what to do. Sometimes they'll give you a blank sheet of paper for you to sign. You just got to know how to sign it. Sometimes that blank sheet of paper will have words on it that say the straw man is to do this, that, and the third. If you don't sign this paper, we're not releasing you. Okay, what is that? A threat. So sign it under duress. Do you consent? No. Sign it under protest. You waive your rights? No. Sign it with all rights reserved or without prejudice. Now, you to report to parole? No. Why would you report? You signed it under protest. People say, man, I got out on bond, but you, Lamont, you telling me not to go back. But then you signed it under protest? Are they telling you to come back, or are they telling the straw? And this is where sincerity kicks in. Well, what if they issue a warrant? Issue the writ of error. But then what? You're not supposed to be asking me that, because if you're still asking me that, then that means you're not competent and you need to go back and study. Because they didn't appoint me Consul General. Consul General, this office came through election. Before Consul General, I was just consul. And I was consul for the people that appointed me consul over their estate to assist them. But before I can assist them, they had to prove that they were competent. Those principles still apply. Everybody that does consultations with me, before we do consular assistance, they have to prove to me that they're competent enough to follow the direction, because I charge not to type the paperwork. I charge for training and coaching. So I charge for my time and my experience to share with you. No different than a professor at a college charges for his time. He's not going to do the work for you. You still got to do the work. As a matter of fact, with me, you kind of don't have to do the work as far as type. You don't have to type it. But as far as enforcing it, you got to enforce it. You got to get in that ring and fight. I'm going to show you exactly how to fight. That's what my duty is, to consult. Put a T after consult. You got consult.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you go to the attorney, you will turn your estate over to them, and they're going to get you the best plea deal for $20,000.
Wow. It has been, we're going to do this. We're going to go more in depth when we do, I don't have a date, y'all, so I can't give you the date right off the bat, because a lot of stuff is coming up in the next few weeks. I'll be in Atlanta, the Atlanta area, more to come in about a couple of weeks, I'll be in Atlanta for about 10 days or 9 days or however many. And I'll try to meet with some of y'all who are at Atlanta and or are coming. And we'll get that information out to you. And we will reschedule and do an unfiltered so that folks can, get a little bit more of the part that, you had to kind of, you need to put that under wraps when you get it. So we appreciate that. Appreciate every one of you all. Again, this Friday, the 27th is our last in-person. It'd be great if you could come up, but our last in-person.
This Friday, you said?
This Friday, the 27th, we will be here, and Grand Sheik and I, and quite a few of you have RSVP. We look forward to seeing you. You don't have to RSVP to come. But when we do get RSVP, of course it gives the RSVPs, it gives us an idea, a little idea of how many to try to plan for and whether or not I need to, do some other things. So that's this Saturday. I mean, it's Friday. I do apologize. And look forward to seeing you, and hopefully we'll see you, soon. If not this time, the next time will be in 2024. Because
so I want to say this real quick. Enforcement, first, the root word of enforcement is force.
Right.
And it starts with the individual. Before there can be a collective enforcement, it has to be individual enforcements. What do they find out when you go to boot camp in the military? Who's strong and who's weak?
Yeah.
Because they don't want weaklings in the group, because then you got a whole group of weaklings.
And you get recycled, because I was in there. I
got
sick and almost got recycled. I didn't get recycled. I became a super jock. You know what? It was because I became sick and was almost recycled. I overachieved and ended up being a super jock in the Army.
Right.
So, and I was like, I don't want to be with these people because we had to run further and do more. But sometimes when after you've been through something, it gives you something you push harder. And you've been through some things.
Yeah. And I all I'm doing is speaking from my experience, and I got facts to prove it.
Right.
But I'm telling you from my experience, why they're not, and the police, FBI, everybody's watching this right now. And if they're not, they're going to watch it, because they told me that they watch. They're not in my way, and I'm not on their radar because I recognize myself. You don't have to get them to recognize you or get the United Nations or any other organization to recognize you. The world is waiting for us to recognize ourselves. And they know I recognize myself, and I ain't giving up my birthright. They know I'm training people on how they can recognize themselves so that they won't give up their birthright like me. And it's not me training you to be like me. No, you be like you. You have your own spirit. You have your own soul. You came here for your own purpose, whatever that purpose is. However, the person that's going to save you is you. That's in the Circle 7. So everybody that's new to this movement, that's new to this information, I encourage you to go on enforcetheconstitution.org, click on study materials for Moors, look for the Circle 7, look for the 101 questions for Moorish Americans, look for the Moorish literature, and look for the old statements and prophecies. If you want to know how to nationalize is not the ID and the paperwork. Nationalization includes mostly how you respond. Because the chapter 1 said, man will regain his lost estate, his heritage, but he must do it in a conflict that cannot be told in words. Yea, he must suffer trials and temptations manifold. Stop thinking that you're trying to avoid the fight and then get the birthright benefits. No, you got to go through the fight. And how you respond in the fight is going to determine if they're going to recognize your rights or not. How you respond. And if you responding correctly, but they still treating you incorrectly, go look at the records to see if you consented in the record at any time in the past. Look that up and stop following these Moors that's telling you stuff, but they can't prove it. They cannot prove their works. Have them prove their work. Stop just following people. Stop listening.
Yeah.
Full faith and credit is to be given to public acts, records, and judicial proceedings. If they can't give you that, especially their experience, and prove it to you, why are you listening to them? Would you go to a brain surgeon and get your brain worked on by somebody that ain't got no experience in brain surgery? No. So why would you go to somebody calling themselves a Moor and say, yeah, this is what you got to do. Once you do that, they're going to recognize you. Well, what have you done, sir or ma'am, for them to recognize you so that I can see that record? Not, yeah, I filed it and with the state apostille, got the apostille letter. That's not what that means. Please, a lot of people are saying that, they're state recognized. Status means state. State means status. It's state of mind. When you go to Maryland, that state of mind includes no open gun carry. There's no open gun carry law in Maryland, right? But when you go to Texas, that's a different state of mind. They got open carry gun laws, right? Or they don't have, you can open carry without a license and all of that, right? It's the state of mind. How do you know that you went from Maryland to Virginia? It's got to be a sign right there that tells you, otherwise you ain't gonna see nothing but land. And the land gonna look the same on both sides. That's because the area is not the state. It's the state of mind of the people that's in the area. That's the state. So if you want your state recognized, your state of mind recognized, first and foremost, you have to go back to that state of mind of your ancient foremothers and forefathers, because these people are studying that state of mind in secret. They call it Freemasonry because Freemasonry is the science of mother and son. Masonry. That's the study of the science of mother and son. Masonry. That's also the study of nature. So that's what you're studying. You're going back to that state of mind. You ain't creating no new state. Go ahead, create a new state. Go ahead and get it recognized by the United Nations and see how far you get. And then talk about it. Talk about it. It's all love. Though I can't hear you. Dr. G, you muted. You muted.
It was noise outside. I'm sorry. Yeah, I said we're not going to open up that can.
No, it's all love. It's all love.
I know. And that's what I say. That's why we all got to come to the table with our piece and figure out where they fit together, or where we have to shave off something or something. That's what we need to be willing to do. Everybody, and I think most people coming up with things are sincere, and sincerity doesn't not necessarily equate to what's correct. But if your heart's right, then correction won't be taken, out of pocket.
Yeah, and the teachers within, the divine teachers within, you're going to be shown the truth. You're going to be shown it. So I do classes. I'm gonna start the classes now that I did this interview. I'm gonna start the classes between this week and next week. I'll put the announcement on the website, and everybody that's subscribed to Remind App, you'll get the invitation via Remind App. If you're not subscribed, you can go to the website, enforcetheconstitution.org,
and it's running here under the somebody was asking that website about saying it's running right now under the banner is giving you his contact. You got the website, the email is running right there. So, just on the replay, stop it right there, and then get the
information. And the web page on the website is Subscribe for Workshops. You go there, you subscribe to Remind App, and then you'll get the text messages, because we got to filter out the BS on who comes on Zoom. And so I got a process for that, because ain't nobody going to come on Zoom and try to cause disruption or confusion. And other thing is, for all the people that thought I was going to prison for a long time.
Yeah.
Too bad, so sad for you, because that's not happening. And I have planned on doing a meeting, and they agree with the sheriffs, with the state's attorneys, with the county administrator, or the general counsel for the sheriff department, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm looking to do that for Prince George's County, Maryland, Charles County, Maryland, District of Columbia for now, and Montgomery County, Maryland for now, because
you're gonna help educate them so they'll know what's going on. Right?
Well, the lower ones don't know what's going on. The higher ones do. So it's more so like basically, since they have their obligations in their fraternal orders, they want to see if we're demonstrating morals and ethics according to our foremothers and forefathers' principle and creed. That's what they want to see. Otherwise, they're going to continue to claim your estate because you're uncivilized, right? I'm not making any excuses, but that's just what it is. Because I thought about it. Let's just say, all right, they say, all right, Consul General, you got Charles County. We're backing off. You Moors got it. You all take it from here. We're not enforcing any more black codes or anything. Can we imagine that for a second? How, now the responsibility is on us. What are we going to do with all of these people that's running around still that are not sincere, that are still clinging to black code principles, that still want to sell drugs or engage in prostitution, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
Right.
What do we do?
We're
going to eventually end up doing the same thing that they was doing. Grab them dudes and men, women, and throw them in a cave somewhere, because you acting up. Yeah, truth be told.
Right.
So we can show that we can govern ourselves. Then you started your state, which is your political body or your organization. So it starts with the individual first. Like Michael Jackson said it best. He said, "You want to change the world, start with the man in the mirror." That's the truth. You have to start with yourself. You can't help nobody if you can't help yourself.
That's true.
And that's what I was telling everybody that was attempting to give assistance. I don't want any help outside the constitutional fold, because I know I can help myself. I've done it before. You know what I'm saying? But, if you want to assist, I greatly appreciate it. But this is how I'm accepting assistance. I'm not going outside of those principles because I know they work. Here, look, I'm here. And can't nobody say I did anything else other than what's on the record, because it's on the record. Verbal record, transcripts, and written record that's on the website. Mm-hmm. Anything else, you just proved yourself. You just showed yourself. You showed your cards. Anyway.
Okay.
All love.
Well, all right. We gone. It's almost 3 hours.
Oh, man. Thank you, Dr. G. Appreciate it. And thank you for everybody that sent letters. I got your letters. I appreciate your support. You kept me and George alive in there mentally. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the donations that you sent, because it went to the phone calls that are extremely expensive and somewhat commissary. And thank you for your continued sincerity in the upliftment of fallen humanity. It starts with the individual. Before it gets collective, it starts with the individual. It says, repent from your sins. Repent means to turn away from. That means don't look back. Nationalize. Bring your state of mind back to your ancient foremothers and forefathers, principle and creed. Otherwise, you ain't going to know what I'm talking about. You ain't going to know what Taj is talking about. Dr. G, you break it down in simplest forms, but they might not even know what you're talking about if they don't go back to the culture. The culture's in the Circle 7. The 101s is different layers of meanings with the questions and answers so that you can understand the culture. Mm-hmm. Morocco's ancient. Moors and Moabites and Moroccans is synonyms. We're Moroccans, we're Moors, we're Moabites, we're Moorish Americans. We're not kind of Moor because it says Moorish. We are Moors. We are Moorish Americans. That's the nationality. Please don't deviate from what Noble Drew Ali said, because all of your de facto officials know who Noble Drew Ali is. All of them. And they don't call him Noble Drew Ali. They call him Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali. So, assalamu alaikum. Thank you for your support once more. And soon we're going to establish, my last thing. We're going to establish consular insurance. I'll go into detail with that, but that's when, basically people pay dues so that this office can be ran based off of the dues that's being paid and not just based off of the service that I'm offering, because that's how this office is being funded. I got to do a service for people and they compensate, and then I get to buy the materials, et cetera, et cetera. But we're trying to get it to where, you know, people will pay a tax for the duty monthly. And then we can put more people in position and then they get paid a salary. So, but that's it.
All right. We out of here. Love you.
All right. Love you, Dr. G. Thank you again.
Love you more. All right. Listen, save the date. April 27th, 29th, 2024 is our Spring into Action Conference, and we certainly want to see your face in the place. Until next time, this is Dr. G, and I am signing off.
I said no. Dr. G. Really? Oh shit.
Yeah, that's me.
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 Really?